Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Foul Play YouTube channel. Open mic number 187. Hope everyone's doing well today on the Sunday afternoon, a week before, I think. Or are we a week before Super Bowl? Is that right? It's next week?
I believe it's next week.
It
Yeah,
is.
so there will not be an open mic next week. I can tell you that.
Woohoo!
It'll be
Thank you.
pointless. Well, I might cram one in the middle of the week, just to cover. So, we don't have to go so far between because
Yeah.
well, today, we've got there's two depositions that we're going to cover. We're not going to finish the second one, though. The first one we talked about last week is Sandra Morris, and this is the last one for October 11, 2005. And then, anyway, let's let everyone say hello. I'll take us through just a little bit of what we're going to be doing tonight, and anything else that anybody wants to talk about for a minute. Then we're going to get right into it. So anyway, Rhonda, you're fine now. You're fine now, right? Knowing that you're going to be reading Sandra Morris test.
Oh, am I going to read Sandra Morris's part?
Well, I'm just saying we're going to be reading it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm fabulous. Yes, I'm fabulous. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be joining panel members, and all these wonderful people in the chat are freaking amazing. Thank you all for being here. Let's go.
There you go. And Kay, how's Sam the snoring dog?
Oh, I just sent him away. He was
Oh,
on my shoulder, so he was going to be super loud. Sorry, I was trying to send him away. I forgot I wasn't muted.
no, you're fine. You were actually muted. I just heard a little bit of it, and I thought, okay, Sam's on her snoring again. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you hear me calling someone pig, that's what I call my dog. So I'm not calling my husband pig.
Oh, that reminds me. I read something in the internet, so it has to be true, right? You guys had an earthquake near Oklahoma City this morning.
Freaking! That was yesterday. It was a.
Yesterday. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, yesterday. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the epicenter was in Prague, Oklahoma, but it happened actually Friday night at 11:24. And we had just gotten home from Stacy's gig, and I was just about asleep, and we were having a hell of a thunderstorm too, the weirdest thunder I've ever heard.
Wow, that's weird.
And I woke up and said, "Oh my gosh, was that an earthquake?" And he said, "No, it's just thunder." I'm like, what?
And you were right.
He said, funny. "No, it was seriously just thunder. Go back to sleep."
Oh, wow.
That's
funny.
Crazy
because we had an earthquake here as well in southern Utah. I don't know. I think it was like 3 or 4 point or whatever, but it's very rare. Just like in Oklahoma, it's very rare to have earthquakes here in Utah as well. So I didn't feel it because I'm in central Utah, but that's weird.
I think Susan felt it where she is.
Oh, wow.
Really? Wow. She's
spooky.
She's not that close.
Yeah, and my son's in Oklahoma City, so he sends a text, which I didn't get till the next day. Damn, that was serious.
Alrighty, well, you batten down the hatches, and hopefully that'll be the end of that for at least a long time. So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah. Be safe out there.
Absolutely. And JD, all the way from across the pond, how are you doing tonight?
I'm very well, Jack. I'd like to say hi to everybody on panel and everybody else that's in chat and listening to all forms of media.
There you go. Thank you so much, Jay. And Cherie, how are you?
I'm well. Welcome to Open Mic, everybody.
Absolutely. So, Rhonda, do you feel like saying hello to everyone in the live chat? I will get this poll up and we'll talk a minute before we get started.
You betcha. I would love to. Allie Apperson, hello. It's great to see you here. Pete Moss, True Crime Fangirl. Great to see you. Gloria. Oh, great to see you, Gloria. I can't help it. It just happens. It's
Right.
just part of
Just
saying the name.
right.
Um,
No.
we have we have Kay in the chat and on the panel. Colette M, great to see you. JD also in chat and on the panel. Joffrey 3, third, you. So happy to have you again with us. Crockett, great to have you talk, Crockett. Stuart King, rumor has it. And let's see. Jack is in the chat and also on the panel. Nan's Life 7. Great to see you, Nan's Life. And thank you for joining us. Mark Kaz, I saw you popped in last night reading with the crew. I think, if I'm not mistaken, just shortly before we finished, but we're happy to have you here in chat for open mic today. And if I missed anybody, I'm terribly sorry. We'll try to catch you. I'll say your hello on the screen, or we'll try to catch you when we take a break.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'm going to pull something up here. Okay. See if this will load. It's pretty big. Anyway, so tonight, I know you
That's what
guys
she
probably
said.
can't. Ha 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 ha. That's so funny. That's my fault. I stepped right into that, opened the door. This first deposition, of course, is Sandra Morris, and it is 72 pages, probably 60-something pages, so about roughly an hour reading her deposition. Okay. And that ends, like I said, this is on the 11th of October, 2005. And the next one, that ends all the depositions for the 11th. And then we move into the 13th, which is Judy Dvorak. I'm sorry, Judy Dvorak Yonda. Judy Dvorak Yonda. That starts the 13th. However, her deposition is 133 pages. And so probably the time without the index, you're looking at 120 pages approximately. That's 2 hours minimum, 2 hours guaranteed. Time we stop and run our mouth and so forth. So what I'd like to do tonight is to read this one, Sandra Morris, and we'll get started on Judy Dvorak, and then we'll finish it next time. And that way that'll pretty much cover another open mic, and that way we'll be done with it. And if my math is correct, and I think it is, after Judy Dvorak's, I think we have 4 or 5 more, and that's it. That finishes all the depositions. We'll have them all memorialized into the different open mics for anybody who wants to go back and listen. So, with that said, anything going on here? Hey, why is that not showing? Why did I do that? It's not supposed to do that. Why is that blanked out? I did the same thing to you.
Happens happens to me too. I don't know what that's about.
Well, as soon as I popped it back open on Adobe, it popped back in there. It shouldn't do that. That's crazy. Let me try that. Now it should stay. If it doesn't, that's going to irritate me. Anyway, had a really good reading with the crew yesterday. I thought that Doc and Everly presented was it was really interesting. Driving down specifically about Bobby and the various bits of testimony that we read and what Kratz did. I thought it was really interesting, and it's easy to miss that. Specifically what Bobby said, but what Kratz tried to do. He tried to make this such a major event, and it just seemed like to Bobby it wasn't. It just wasn't. Wasn't like, the burning bush outside. It's like, okay, somebody come to take a couple of photos of the van. Okay, I've seen her. I'm taking a shower and going bow hunting. Anyway, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. It was very interesting.
I'm gonna pop this on screen, and I'm gonna play this a little bit of this. I'm certainly not gonna play all this. It's just a kind of an opening salvo here. We'll be getting into it, but let's just listen to a little bit of this. Be sure to let me know if you guys can't hear it. You should be able to.
On the record at 3:35 p.m. October 11th, 2005. We are at the Nashville Winston and McCracken Law Offices in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, in the matter of Avery versus Manitowoc County, case number 04C986, pending in the United States District Court the Eastern District of Wisconsin. My name
Volume's
is
pretty
Barbara
low on it.
Joseph. I'm a
I have no
Yeah,
control
it
over that.
script video court recording, and we're going to be recording.
Wow, look at her chest rise and fall. She's nervous as shit.
Of course she is.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Would counsel please take their appearances for the record?
My name is Walter Kelly. I represent Stephen Avery.
My name is Stephen Glenn. I also represent Mr. Avery.
John Meyer on behalf of Sheriff Kucera.
Okay. Anyway, just wanted to play that little opening salvo. I may at some point take this video and chop it up and grab us some clips out. I'm not going to play the entire thing because, well, I'm just not. I don't want any problems for any of us in the here in the channel. But for rebuttal purposes, we're certainly allowed to play a little bit. So I've done that. I've played probably not even a minute. Most of that was the woman introducing and not even Sandra. So I wanted to play a little bit of that.
Where did it come from?
Well,
Or can you say, never mind?
no, you can certainly ask me, and I'm going to be quite honest. I don't remember.
Okay, that's cool.
I honestly do not remember, and that's crazy to say that, but
You mean
it's true.
you don't recall? Is that
I
what
don't
you mean?
recall. That's right, Cherie. I do not recall. That's right.
I feel like I remember, but I could be
Rhonda's
wrong.
gonna make some shit up right now.
Hey, that's all right.
I'm not. I'm pretty sure I know where it came from, but I'm not saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm not allowed
I
to say.
gotcha. All right.
Well, you can tell me later because I honestly do not remember. Anyway, so let's get to it here. So we're going to go to the lawyer, Glenn and Kelly. I'm sorry?
I was just going to say I would like to read from your screen, from the StreamYard screen.
No. No. Okay,
well,
that's fine. I'm kidding.
I mean, I have it open. I have it pulled up and open. I just feel
Right.
so like alone when because I can only have my screen open and I miss everything else. Anyway, I don't need to be paying attention.
That's fine. No, that's fine. You can read
Carry
from
on.
my screen. I'll keep it scrolling. So we got Glenn and Kelly, which, if it's okay with you and Kay, I'm going to have you guys do the bulk of the reading here. So if Rhonda, if you would be the lawyer, I don't know who's going to do the questioning, but if you'll be the lawyer doing the questioning, and Kay, if you can be Sandra Morris, I know it's difficult, but if you can put that hat on.
I'll try.
Okay, all right. And then we have, Amanda. Let's see what else we got. We got Bascom, Amy Doyle, John Mayer. Okay, so Cherie, if you could do Amanda and Amy, the two ladies, and
Okay.
JD said he would read Bascom, and can you also read Mayer? If you can't read Mayer, I can grab it, but can you do both of those?
Yeah, I should be able to.
Okay. I don't think they have too awfully much, but. And then got Stephen present, and I don't know who this Crystal Whacker is. Anybody have any clues? I saw this
I have
earlier when I
not.
was scrolling. Yeah, anybody out there? It's in the live chat. I've never looked this person up. That name just, I'm like, okay, I've never really noticed that before. If I did, it didn't stick out, but it's kind of an unusual back name or last name even for that region. So if anybody has any ideas, please let me know. Put it in the live chat or whatever. Or if not, then maybe I'll do a little bit of diving on newspapers.com, see if I can find out anything.
So it looks like Kelly is going to do direct. Glenn pops in for whatever reason, like he sometimes do, they both interchange. I'll grab his as well.
Please, thank you. And looks like there's a couple of exhibits that got presented. I'm sure we'll see those as we go. So take one last little quick scan around here, unless there's any questions. And I've tried to flip back and forth. I see. I don't know if you said her name or is Lisa and Scooby.
Yep, Lisa
read
and
it.
Scooby just popped in.
Yep.
I wanted to.
Yep.
I'm gonna while you're reading, I'm gonna pop Lisa's comment on the screen again. She says, "In my opinion, Sandra started this whole thing. I very much dislike her," and I agree with you.
I can't disagree with that. Really, I can't disagree with that. I mean, I do think that Stephen needed to be punished for what he did. He shouldn't have done that. But the instigator. And I get it. Somebody go around bad mouthing you, saying a bunch of stuff that's not true. I get it. I do, and I'm sure that most of us would not have reacted the way that Stephen did. But yeah.
It is what it is.
Happy birthday, foul play. Scooby says that. Is it our birthday? I must have
Is it our
missed it.
birthday? We've lost track, haven't we? That's
No.
terrible.
I don't think we got our birthday for. I think it's July, August.
I was thinking July.
Yeah, I think it's July or August,
July.
something like that. Mm-hmm.
But thanks anyway, Scooby. You are ahead of the. You are ahead of the game.
she said happy Sunday. I need to script. Yeah,
Jack.
Yeah.
That's how rumors get started.
the comment was broken there. So anyway, all right, guys.
I already want some cake.
I'd love some cake. Anyway, questions as always. Please put a Q in it, and we'll try to catch it and get it highlighted and answer for anything. So otherwise, ladies, whenever you're ready, take off.
Okay. By Mr. Kelly. Miss Morris, would you tell me your current address, please?
13003 Jambo Creek Road, Two Rivers.
How long have you resided at that address?
About 3 years.
And before that, where did you reside?
Xander's. I don't remember the address.
About how long did you reside there?
A year.
And before that, where did you reside?
Out in Kellnersville.
Kellnersville?
Nodding.
And how long were you in Kellnersville?
10 years.
Where is Kellnersville relative to Manitowoc? Oh.
Crystal Wacker. It's right next to Maribel from the audience back here.
Ma'am, only your mom. Oh, it's
here's
Sandra
our
Morris's
answer.
Mom. Yeah.
There we go. And we've read this before, and I forgot. That's her daughter. Mom!
Yeah.
Mom!
Yeah.
Her daughter's just hollering out
Just
from the
answering
crowd.
answers.
Don't be a dumbass, Mom. Are you drinking? Are you drinking again? Don't you remember?
Again, Mom.
Sorry.
Oh,
You guys continue, huh? I'll shut up.
Oh. Well, the Holtzclaw team is really good at this, asking all these really, really good questions about stuff that we just now read. And then if we would have just waited and read a few more lines, we would have known that answer. So we're good at this.
Absolutely.
Okay. By Mr. Kelly. Ma'am, only your mom can answer.
Yeah, around Maribel. It's off out of Maribel.
Okay. Was there a time when you resided on Melnick Road?
That was the next one.
So that was before Kellnersville?
Yes.
And for how long did you reside on Melnick Road? Roughly.
I'm not sure. 4 or 5 years.
Would you tell me your date of birth and your age, please?
5/24/51/54.
At one time you were married to Bill Morris?
Yes.
Are you still married?
No.
Were you divorced?
Yes.
Can you tell me approximately when that occurred?
In 89.
When you and Bill were married, he was employed in the sheriff's department?
Yes.
What was his position?
He was a part-time deputy.
Besides the sheriff's department, did he work anywhere else?
I'm not sure. He had a lot of jobs.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. I think you testified just a moment ago that you resided on Melnick Road for about 4 or 5 years.
I think so.
So that would mean that you resided on Melnick Road, wouldn't it, at the time that Mrs. Berenson was assaulted? Is that correct?
Yes.
And were you then residing there with Bill Morris?
Yes.
Did the two of you have any children?
2.
Would you tell me their names and ages, please?
Michelle, she's married now. You want to know her last name?
Pardon?
You want her married name?
Sure.
Potts.
Say it. Say it, Kay.
Oh
You
my
don't have a
God.
choice.
Sorry, that's
Did you guys get that delay? Did you guys get that delay?
I was just
I knew
thinking
she was-
that's shitty, man.
I knew she was thinking, oh shit, man. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Stage voice.
Trying my best to just leave it. Just move on. Okay.
Okay. And how old is Michelle?
Michelle is 34.
And the name of your other child?
Crystal Morris.
Reporter, repeat that, please.
Crystal, Crystal.
And how old is Crystal?
Crystal is 25.
And
She's married now, too.
all right.
She just got married.
And is Crystal here with you today?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you remarried since divorcing with Bill?
No.
What was your maiden name?
Mott.
Are the Motts related to the Averys?
Yes.
Would you describe what that relationship is?
My father and, well, what would it be? Cousin? My father and his sister married an Avery. Would that be cousins?
Your father's sister married an Avery?
No. My father, yeah, right. Yeah, correct.
Okay. What's your father's sister's name?
Loretta, she's dead.
She's deceased?
Nodding.
All right. Do you remember what Avery she was married to?
Earl, I believe.
And was Earl the brother of Alan Avery?
The father.
Okay. Are you also related as a cousin by marriage with Wayne and Ramona Marcel?
Yes.
And would you describe that relationship to us, please?
What do you mean?
How is it that you're cousins?
How is it that you're cousins? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. What the hell? I'm sorry. Marcel, my dad's...
Don't be putzing around.
I know, that's what happened. Marcel, my dad's, well, another sister of my dad's is married to a Marcel.
Okay.
Was married.
In July of 1985, when Mrs. Berenson was assaulted, at that time you were living on Melnick, on Melnick, and the Marcels and the Dvoraks were living nearby on Old Country Y. Is that correct?
Yes.
And also living between the Marcels and the Zemans were the Averys, Stephen and Lori.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Nodding.
You have to answer out loud, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, before you testified today, Ramona Marcel was here and testified, and she hand drew a little bit of a map, which is Exhibit 126, to show us in rough sketch about where people lived in that neighborhood. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem about right to you?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know the Zemans?
Not really.
Okay. Did you know the Marcels?
Yes.
And did you know the Dvoraks?
Yes.
At the time, David Dvorak was employed in the sheriff's department, correct?
Yeah.
And you knew that?
Yeah.
And Judy Dvorak was a part-time deputy, and you knew that?
Yeah.
And your husband, Bill Morris, was also a part-time deputy.
Yes.
And you all were friends with the Marcells.
Yeah.
So David and Judy Dvorak, Wayne and Ramona Marcel, and Bill Morris and you were all friends and neighbors.
Yes.
Okay. I'm speaking now of you personally at the time that Mrs. Berntsen was assaulted in July of 1985. At that time, were you personally friendly with Stephen Avery?
No.
In fact, you actively disliked him. Is that right at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And the dislike that you had for Stephen Avery at that time was known to the Marcells. You weren't quiet about it. They knew it.
They probably did. They read it in the paper.
Okay, well,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to continue an objection to all the leading questions.
okay. You talked with them about it as well.
Not that I know of.
All right. Did you have any knowledge at the time about how the Marcells felt about Stephen Avery?
Not really.
When you say not really, tell me what you mean.
I didn't talk with them. I didn't know what they felt.
At the time, did you know how Judy Dvorak felt about Stephen Avery?
No, I didn't talk to her much at all.
How about your husband? Did your husband talk with Judy Dvorak in connection with his work as a part-time deputy?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't really talk about about the sheriff the deputy type work with him.
Did you have any knowledge about how the deputies felt towards Stephen Avery at the time that Mrs. Berntsen was assaulted?
Mr. Bascom, object to the form.
No.
You didn't know anything about how...
What do you mean?
Well, did you know about how people in the sheriff's department felt about Stephen Avery at the time that Mrs. Berntsen was assaulted?
Mr. Mayor, form and foundation.
What do you mean felt?
What their feelings were.
Well, not really.
Well, you had several conversations with many of them about Stephen Avery, hadn't you?
No.
Didn't you make accusations between July and November of 1984 about what you said Stephen Avery was doing to you?
Oh, yeah? I told my husband.
And you talked to several other members of the sheriff's department as well about that, didn't you?
No.
Liar. Well,
not several.
Let me ask.
My husband might have.
Let me ask you directly then.
I wasn't really friendly as far as you mean. Like Judy Dvorak, me and her never associated.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you complain to a detective in the sheriff's department named Meisner about...
One morning, a detective...
What is the name, Jack?
Minor.
Minor? Well, why is there an S in there?
It's Meisner.
Meisner. I'm sorry. It's Meisner. That's right.
That's okay. I was going to say, then that S needs to go because it's confusing me. Okay. All right.
16.
Ma'am, let me finish the question before you answer, okay?
Oh, okay.
To Detective Meisner about what Stephen Avery was doing to you.
No, I don't know Meisner.
All right. Did you speak with a Detective Jadowski about what Stephen Avery was doing to you?
I don't remember those two names, but two detectives did show up one morning in my yard and asked to ride with me to work.
Did you speak?
I didn't know them.
Stop talking when I'm still asking a question. Did you speak? Did you speak with Leroy Belkey about what you said Stephen Avery was doing to you? God.
I don't remember him either.
Okay, you have to read it the way it's written. Sorry.
What?
I'm just being a smart ass. I know, it's
What'd you
hard to
say?
read. I said you have to read it the way it's written.
I don't remember him neither. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
God, my brain can't read like that.
No. I was just being a smart ass because it's sometimes we all have a hard time reading things the way they're written because it's such improper grammar.
It's written sometimes the way people talk. It's really difficult to.
It is
talking their cadence. It's really difficult sometimes. Anyway,
it is.
The double negatives are the hardest, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I was just teasing Kay. Sorry.
Well, I'll try to be a better idiot.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Listen, I was challenged, everybody in chat, to be more chipper or in some form or fashion today. So
I told you I told you her testimony would cheer you right up.
Yeah.
That's true, you did. Oh God. Okay, line 7. Okay, was there a period of time in 1984 and 1985 where you were spending time in a nearby tavern and talking about Stephen Avery?
I might have.
What was the name of that tavern?
I don't know.
Was there a woman?
I go to several.
Stop! She's pissing me off, you guys. She keeps cutting him off, and it's really annoying. Pardon?
I might have went to several taverns.
Okay, were you going to several taverns at the time?
I don't know. I don't remember talking about. I don't know what you mean.
Did you talk to a woman named Marilis? I don't know how to say that name, Jack or somebody else. Do you know who that is?
Marilise.
Marilise Stick.
Marilise, okay. Sorry. Did you talk to a woman named Marilise Stick in a tavern about what you said Stephen Avery had been doing to you?
Yeah, I think so.
What did you tell her?
That's a relation to me.
Okay, Miss Stick is related to you?
Yes.
How is she related to you?
Her mother is a sister to my dad.
What did you tell Miss Stick about what Stephen Avery was doing to you?
I was just telling her what he did.
And what was that?
Flashing himself in front of me.
How was he doing that, according to you?
When I went to work in the morning, he'd come out and he'd show his penis. He'd be playing with himself and show it. He'd walk right up to the edge of the road.
Would he be naked?
Nodding.
You have to answer out loud, man.
Yes. Sometimes he was naked and sometimes he was naked from the waist down.
What time of the day was it when you were on your way to work?
I believe at that time I was on 10 hours and I was supposed to be at work at 6 o'clock. So I'd probably go past his house probably about maybe 20 after 5.
In the morning?
In the morning.
And the time of year was in the fall?
It was cold out.
So he was naked in the street at 5:20 in the morning in the fall.
Yes.
Playing with himself.
Yes, and sometimes even on the way home from work.
Have you ever, before today, made to any police officer the accusations that those things happened on the way home from work in the evening?
I don't remember.
Do you recall whether or not the accusations that you made in 1984 and 1985 were directed exclusively at the period of time between 5:15 and 6 o'clock in the morning?
Repeat the question.
Do you remember whether when you made the accusations that you've told us about concerning Stephen Avery to the police in 1984 and 1985, you said that all these events happened between about 5:15 and 6 o'clock in the morning?
I believe I told them that when it happened, when I was going to work.
And you did not tell them that it happened when you were coming home from work?
It only happened maybe twice on the way home, and I don't remember if I told them or not.
What time of the day did you come home from work?
Well, I got done at 4:30. I worked 6 to 4:30, and then I had to stop and pick up my child, gesturing toward Crystal. It probably was 5:30 by then.
And when you say stop and pick up your child, you mean that you went to your parents' home?
Yeah. My mother was babysitting her at the time.
And in fact, when you left in the mornings, what you would do is take your child to your parents' home.
Yes.
Leave her there and then go to work.
Yes.
And were you working at the time? And where were you working at the time? Sorry.
Fisher Hamilton.
Okay. So is it your testimony that on 2 occasions in the fall of 1984, between 4:30 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon, Stephen Avery appeared alongside the road naked or semi-naked, playing with himself?
Yes.
In the evening?
Once or twice it happened in the evening too.
And would you say that Old County Y was fairly well traveled between 4:30 and 6 in the evening?
No.
No. Very few cars on the road?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not anybody else ever saw him on those occasions?
I think he only did it for me. He only was threatening me. He'd come out like when I'd go past his house, he'd come out. Or he was like hiding and then he'd come out.
Brother.
Wow.
And when you and yeah, that's crazy. And
I'm
you
trying
were
to
traveling,
imagine that actually.
yeah,
So
trying to get
at 5:20 in the morning or at like what time would it get light and what time would it get dark that time of year?
In the fall time in Wisconsin, same time here.
Yeah.
If it's past daylight savings time, get dark at 4:30 or 4:45, whatever. Certainly
And so
dim.
how much? I mean, he's hiding and just watching for her car, and then he comes running out of the bushes.
And the temperature, naked.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. It's ludicrous anyway.
It's these are really kind of some outrageous claims. But oh well, we're used to that. And you were traveling along Old County Y at what speed I'm talking about the morning now. What would be your ordinary speed on your way to your parents' home?
Well, at that time, if it was slippery out, I'd maybe be going 40. Okay.
Oh boy, slippery out. Okay.
Well, the roads were slippery.
And you had a child in the car.
So now we've got snowfall.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Black eyes.
Steven's hiding naked or with only a shirt on in the bushes and running out to a car
sometimes
that's
naked.
miles an hour.
Yeah, sometimes naked, nothing on.
Scooby, you'd have shrinkage for sure.
No,
Sorry.
yeah, how could you tell that he was playing with himself if it was that cold outside?
For real. Come on, guys, listen. I don't need, you can just answer this in your minds, guys on panel and guys in the chat. If it was cold outside and you were naked, would you be able to play with your willy? Just
Maybe if I was
just
on
think
some,
about
I mean,
it.
I've never done shrooms or acid, but maybe on under those conditions. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to work out.
Just curious. Thank you for answering, Jack. I appreciate that. And okay, line 19. And you had a child in the car with you, right?
Yes.
Okay. More often than not, you had a child in the car with you.
Laying on the front seat sleeping.
Okay. So how was it?
Well, usually in the morning. In the evening, she probably was sitting on the seat.
In your mind, how was it that Stephen would know you were coming rather than anybody else in a car, and so he'd be able to get out there and do these things to you?
In my mind,
I
don't know how if he watched me, if he had glasses or whatever.
Oh my God.
I don't know. He knew what time I was going by. He knew what time I got out of work.
How did he know that in your mind?
He must have. In my mind, he probably knew what hours I worked.
Do you have a belief about what caused him to start doing this to you in the summer of 1984?
No.
Let me finish my question and I'll let you finish your answer. Or the fall?
No.
You don't know what his motive may have been?
No.
Do you have a belief about what caused him to stop doing it to you?
Well, he stopped when he got picked up after he ran me off the road and threatened me with a shotgun. That's the only time he stopped.
Well, let's back up from there for a minute. Is it your testimony that you did not ask the police for assistance in connection with what you're telling us Stephen Avery was doing to you?
Well, I told my husband, and he probably told them to get help for me.
And then they came to help you?
Yeah, I think so.
And were there occasions in which the police rode with you in your car in the morning?
Yes.
In order to see if they could catch Stephen Avery?
Yes.
On how many occasions did that happen?
I only recall one.
Did they identify themselves? Oh, wait.
Oh, line 17.
Yep, I missed a line. Do you know whether there was more than one?
That they rode with me?
Yeah.
I only believe one.
Did they identify themselves?
They did, but I don't remember their names. They might have been the names you mentioned.
Did one or two of them ride in the car with you?
One rode in the car with me, and I believe one followed. He stayed in the back and followed in his vehicle.
And did anything happen on that occasion?
No.
Apart from the incident where Steve ran you off the road, was there any other instance in which the police, at your request, made an effort to catch him doing what you were telling the police you felt he was doing?
Thanks.
I never asked for help.
How come?
Well, because my husband probably took care of it.
Okay, I need to just say something. I would never, even in 1984 or 1985, I would never just rely on my husband to take care of it and then not ask questions of my husband. Like, did you talk to somebody today? Who did you talk to? What did they say? Is there a plan? What are these guys going to do to keep this fucker from exposing himself to me every day? I would never have, I mean, maybe she did, and we haven't gotten that far in the testimony yet. But this is just weird that she just accepts that her husband, my husband took care of it. I get it. 1984, 1985, women were still, trying to come into their own. But Jesus, come on, man.
She's been pretty evasive if you get right down to it.
Yeah, for real. Okay, line 13. Did he in fact take care of it?
He didn't tell me about it, but I think he did.
How do you think he did that?
Well, because he had these detectives. I don't know if he asked for these detectives to ride with me in the morning and try to catch him. I believe he did. You'd have to ask him.
Before the detectives rode with you on the occasion that they did you have a conversation with Steve Avery's father about what you are saying Steve Avery was doing?
I might have.
Do you?
That's a long time ago. I don't remember.
Okay, you don't remember one way or the other whether you did that?
I might have. I don't know.
Do you remember anything about any such conversation with Alan Avery?
I don't. I don't really remember.
But you remember that Stephen was running out of his house naked in the fall when it was cold and slippery outside playing with his willy. You remember that?
Yeah, snow on the ground.
Right. That's not what the testimony said. I am so sorry. Line 8.
Well, that's the implication though, so you pretty well nailed it.
Okay, line 8. Do you remember when you spoke with Marliese Stick about what Steve was doing to you? Was there anyone else present?
I think she had Mr. Avery along with her that night.
Gesturing towards Stephen Avery. What?
I guess he's in the courtroom and she's gesturing toward him to point him out.
To Alan?
Yeah, she's.
Oh.
No, she's saying that Marliese Stick has Stephen Avery, right?
Well, yeah, because Stephen was in the room that day during this deposition. Stephen and Crystal, not his dad.
Yeah, that's right. He was in every deposition, but yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Anybody else you remember being present?
No.
Were you in a tavern?
Yes.
Were you drinking?
Yeah. If I'm usually in a tavern, I usually have a couple beers.
To get warmed up.
Were you? Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Were you laughing about what you were saying Stephen was doing to you?
I might have. At first, I thought it was just funny.
Were you making fun of Stephen?
No.
Well, why did you think it was just funny at first?
I just thought it was kind of funny for someone to be flashing himself that early in the morning and as cold as it was. But then when he kept it up, I started getting afraid.
Did you make any statements to anybody in the tavern about Stephen and his wife having sex out in the open in their yard so people could see them?
No.
Do you know of anybody else who made those statements about Stephen and his wife?
No.
At that time?
No.
Do you remember the morning in January when you were forced off the road by Stephen?
Yes.
Tell me, as you leave your house on that journey, just tell us the story of how that happened in your best recollection.
Well, I was going to work. I went past his house as always, and I didn't think nothing of it. He wasn't out that morning. There was some mornings he was, and some mornings he wasn't. So I didn't think nothing of it. So I was going to work, past his house and down the road, and I got toward the end of the road. There's a hill, and all of a sudden I look in my rearview mirror and I see these headlights coming, and they're coming really fast. And I thought to myself, wow, that car is coming fast, It's slippery out because I'm a cautious driver in the winter. And so then all of a sudden I figure he's going to pass, and all of a sudden he hit the back of my on the back of the car on the driver's side. He hit it, and that made my car start doing this making back and forth gesture with hands. And I'm sitting there trying to get it under control. Finally, I got it under control and I pulled it over to the side and I stopped and I thought to myself, now I have to go and we've got to exchange our insurance and stuff. So I open my door and get out of my car. As I got out, he jumped out, gesturing toward Mr. Avery. Mr. Avery jumped out with a shotgun and he pointed it in my head. And it was just like, I was just shocked. This was going through my mind. Is he going to shoot me? I'm fearing for my child on the front seat. Should I run? I don't know what I should do.
What did you do?
Well, so then I grabbed the rifle and he went like this, demonstrating.
Oh, wait a minute. She grabbed the, somebody's pointing a, sorry, Kay. Somebody's pointing a rifle at her and she grabbed it?
That's pretty gutsy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I do a lot of things to protect and save myself and my child, but I don't know if I'd grab the barrel of a shotgun. I'm just saying. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So then I grabbed the rifle and he went like this, demonstrating, grabbed it right back away as we were standing out there, and he said, "Get into my car." And I says, "No." And he says, "I told you to get into my car. Shut yours off and get into mine now." And I says, "No." And he says, and he pointed the gun at me, and, you know, he was pointing it at me all the while. And he says, "Get into my car." And I says, "No." And I begged and pleaded, and I says, "I have my child on the front seat. I says, I'm not going to leave her there to freeze to death." I don't know. I hesitated. I didn't want to tell him I had her there, but finally I did say she was there. And I kept begging and pleading to let me go. I said, "Just leave me. Get my child. Just let me get my... Just leave me get my child to safety." I says, "Just leave me get her to my mother's house or wherever." And I says, "I'll go with you and do whatever you want." I says, "Just please leave me get her safe." And then finally he kind of glanced into the front seat and saw her laying there. And then he nodded his head, yes, or whatever.
Sorry, I'm trying to stop laughing. Let me just stop you there for a moment and ask you, during the period of time that you were pleading with him to let you go and to not do what he was doing, did he make any statements that you recall about why he was upset with you?
No.
Did he say anything about you making statements about him to the cousins?
No.
About him appearing naked in the road?
No.
Anything like that that you can recall?
No, not that morning, no.
At any time?
No.
Did he make those statements to you?
Shaking head.
Speak, woman. Your testimony is he never said that to you.
He never said that to me, no.
At any time up until today, did you know that was why he was angry with you on that morning?
No.
Bullshit.
All right. She's such a...
I just thought it was part of his plan.
What?
What was his plan, did you think? What?
I don't know what his plan was. When you coming out naked in front of someone like that, and then all of a sudden you run someone off the road and have a gun to her head.
And you have no idea why those things happened?
No, I didn't know why he was doing that morning.
And you still don't know why? you don't know what his motive was.
No.
Okay, so pick up the story then from where you left off.
So then he finally nodded his head yes, and I got into my car and I started driving away, and he followed behind me. And I just kept thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? You know, I don't want to lead him to my parents. So then I thought, well, I was watching him. And as I got to the end of the road, I got to the stop sign. Then I turned to go to my parents' house, and I kept looking in my rearview mirror, and he was stopped. He was stopped there, and he didn't follow me, but I was still scared. I didn't know what he was going to do. So I got to my parents' house and I just slammed the door open. I didn't even shut off my car, and I grabbed Crystal and ran into the house. And I told my dad what he did, and he said, just call 911 and call 911 on him, you know, call the police on him. So I did.
And that then led to an investigation where the police came out and talked to you, and then
had me ride. They had me ride with them to identify him, and I says, no, I don't even want to ride in a car. I'm so scared. And they says, well, you can ride in the car. You're safe in the car. He says, nothing will happen to you. He says, I need to identify him and tell me where he lives and stuff. So I rode with him, and the officer went to the door and knocked on the door, and I was watching, and I seen him come to the door, and he went, demonstrates. He yawned like he just got up, and he says, I don't know what they said to him, but I'm assuming they asked if he was out. And I saw the officer go and feel his car, the hood, and it was warm. And he claimed he wasn't out.
So let me make sure I understand. You went with, was it the police officer or two?
I rode with one, but
Let me finish the question, because the way we do this is that I need to finish the question before you answer.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Like she doesn't know that. Did you ride with one police officer or two from your parents' home to the Avery home?
I was shook up, but I'm almost sure I rode in the front seat with one and another one followed, or I know there was another officers there. I know there was other officers there.
Other officers where?
By his house.
When you...
I don't know if they all met.
When you got there?
Yeah.
When you got there?
Yes.
All right. And you stayed in the car?
Yes.
And you watched what happened when the police went to the door?
Yes.
Is it your testimony that when the police went to the door, Stephen came and answered the door and yawned?
That's what I seen.
Okay. Are you sure it wasn't his wife who answered the door?
I saw him yawn.
Okay. Okay.
If he says it's his wife, then he's lying.
Okay, so you're sure it was him?
I saw him yawn.
I saw somebody at the door yawning. It must have been Stephen Avery. Sorry, not making light of it. This was a horrible thing Stephen did, and I absolutely know and recognize that. I'm really sorry. Line 3. Listen to the question. You're sure it was him who answered the door and not his wife?
I don't. Maybe she answered the door and then he came after her, but I know he was there at the door and I saw him yawn.
Aha. So there we go. Oh, okay. So you don't know who actually answered the door,
No.
When the police went to the door, you just,
I mean, I assume it was him.
okay,
Maybe they both were there at the door.
okay,
I was in the car.
all right. And then did the police then enter the house?
No, I didn't see no police officer enter the house then.
What did they do? When did the officer at the what did the officer at the door do?
I saw the officers talk with him, and then I believe they asked him to come outside, and they went over and checked his car.
Okay. After that, what did they do?
And after that, I was sitting in the car yet. I think they talked with him, and I think they arrested him, and then the officer took me back.
At any point in time up to when Stephen was arrested, did the officers take any written statement from you?
Yes, they were taking statement. They were no, not after.
Okay, I'll ask the question again.
Okay.
Up to that point in time on that morning when they arrested Stephen Avery, had any officer taken a written statement from you?
I wrote.
Or the officer wrote and asked you to sign?
I don't recall. They might have.
All right.
I was so shook up that morning. You don't know what it is to have a gun pointed to your head.
After that, after Stephen was arrested, did any officer take any
I remember.
written statement from you?
I don't know. I don't recall. I was shook up. But I do remember that the policeman did talk to me. I think he did take a statement because I remember he had me stand by my car and he took a picture of where Avery hit my car.
All right.
And I was standing and pointing.
At any time up to when Stephen Avery was arrested, did your husband come to the scene?
No, my husband was at work, I believe, and I didn't get a hold of him right away.
All right.
I think I got a hold of him after it all went down.
Okay. And after you got a hold of your husband, did you tell him what happened that morning?
Yeah.
And at any time after Stephen Avery was arrested, did you talk to the Marcells at any point in time?
After?
I said after. After Stephen Avery was arrested. Listen to the question. After Stephen Avery was arrested,
yes,
at any point in time, did you tell either Mr. Marcel or Mrs. Marcel what had happened that morning?
I might have.
All right.
I don't recall.
All right.
That's a long time ago.
Oh, good Lord. This is giving me anxiety with her cutting him off, and I don't even know why, because it's not even, it's, ugh. At any,
I mean, if I did run into them and they did ask, I did tell them.
all right. At any time after Stephen Avery was arrested, did you tell either David Dvorak or Judy Dvorak what had happened to you that morning?
I don't remember talking to Judy or Dave.
All right. When did you first describe to your husband what had happened to you that morning?
I think after it all happened. I don't.
Sometime that day?
Well, yeah, that morning sometime after I got a hold of him, but I don't recall.
All right.
I know I told him. I know I got a hold of him after.
Okay.
I don't even recall where he was working. He was working part-time as a deputy, but he probably had a different job too, because he went through several jobs. He was where he didn't hold a job, so he had lots of jobs. So I don't recall.
After you told your husband what had happened to you, did you ever come back from the sheriff's department to tell you? Wait, did he ever come back from the sheriff's department to tell you what was going to happen in the sheriff's department about what Stephen Avery had done to you? Hang on a second. Earlier in her testimony, she's saying that she assumed that her husband took care of it, of
Yep.
all the, exhibition and all that. I assume my husband took care of it. I thought my husband probably took care of it. But now she's saying she doesn't even know. Well, I mean, I guess this is a different time of year at this point, but did have another job, I guess, but I don't know. It's weird. Okay. Sorry.
No.
Sorry, Kay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I get thoughts in my head. And did he ever come home and tell you what was going to go on
No.
with respect to?
No, I don't even think that he knew.
All right. Why do you?
I don't think they told him anything.
Okay. After Stephen Avery was arrested, did any of the officers work with you in taking statements and preparing the prosecution of this case?
I don't recall.
Do you recall whether you ever came in contact with a woman named Brenda Peterson to assist you as a victim witness coordinator?
No.
Was there anybody from the district attorney's office who talked to you about what happened in your case?
I don't know. I don't recall.
Did you ever talk to Dennis Vogel about what happened in your case?
I might have. I don't recall. I don't recall.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of people that I did when I did. When they had me subpoenaed or whatever, and I had to go and whatever I had to do, I did. And I don't recall all their names.
All right.
I'm sure I had to go, and because I had to go in front of the judge and whatever, but I don't remember the names.
Do you remember the occasion where you went before the judge?
A little bit. I had to go and tell my story.
Was it on the occasion when Stephen Avery was sentenced for what he had done?
To this other gal?
No.
No.
To you?
He was, yes. He was in the room, yeah.
And as part of the sentencing proceeding, you had to make a statement about what happened to you.
I had to tell my story in the courtroom.
And
they did record it, or whatever they do.
All right. And do you remember whether on that occasion the judge imposed a sentence on Stephen Avery for what he had done?
No.
You don't remember one way or the other?
I don't think he did.
Okay. At some point in time, he did.
I think he did after.
After what, ma'am?
After I think he added 3 years on after he got accused of this other gal, rape or whatever he got accused of.
She's trying to act like she doesn't know what Stephen got accused of with Penny Beardson.
Well, it was a separate case. It wasn't the same case.
I get that, but she's lives in a very small area. It's not like
right.
She didn't know what was going on in the.
Well, her memory is really sketchy, except for the incident. Then she can remember every detail. Other than that, it's really sketchy on her memory. Don't call. I can't remember. I don't remember the names. Come on. What are you talking about?
Sorry, I didn't catch your first statement of sarcasm there. I am really sorry. I
That's
gotta
okay.
get better.
That's,
Need to
that's
sharpen
all
my
right.
skills. Line 13. Okay, I understand. Let me ask you, your case was pending
It was pending.
when,
He didn't get anything.
listen to my question. Let me finish my question. Your case was pending when Stephen Avery was arrested for having allegedly assaulted Miss Berenson. Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay. And your case was not disposed of until Stephen Avery was convicted of having assaulted Mrs. Berenson, correct?
I believe so.
And then after he was sentenced for that crime, your case then came before the judge and there was additional sentencing to the Berenson case.
I believe so.
All right. Here's my question. On the occasion when your case came before the judge after the Berenson matter had been resolved, were you present?
I don't remember. No, I didn't. I wasn't allowed to be in the courtroom at all when that other case was in there.
Oh my God.
No, that's not what I'm asking. Oh, Lordy. What I'm asking is, after Stephen is sentenced in the Berenson case.
Yes.
In March of 1986, okay? I'm not asking you about that occasion now.
I don't know. I don't know nothing.
Okay. What I'm asking you is, later on, Stephen was sentenced in your case.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
I don't know. I believe he was sentenced the same time. I don't know.
Okay. So you don't have any memory of being in court on a separate occasion when Stephen Avery was sentenced in your case?
After?
After Miss Berenson's sentencing.
No.
You don't remember that?
I did not go to court.
All right. How did you come to understand that in your belief an additional 3 years was tacked on?
It was in the news?
And that's the only way you knew about it?
Yeah.
Did anybody tell you beforehand that Stephen was going to be sentenced and you could come to court?
Nope.
Okay. Mr. Kelly, could you mark this, please? I think it's 1:30. Let me just check. Okay. Ma'am, I'm going to show you an exhibit that's been marked in this case, Exhibit 130, and it's a report about Stephen Avery incident exposure. It involves you. And I'm going to ask you to take your time and read this. It'll take you a little bit. And then I may ask you some questions about it.
Mr. Bascom, shall we go off the record while she reads it, Walt?
Sure, we can do that.
Reporter off the record from 4:18 to 4:24. Porter, back on the record. Excuse me. Okay, Excuse me, Mr. Kelly. Okay, go ahead. Line 9.
Ms. Morris, have you had the opportunity to review Exhibit 130?
Yes.
If you'll note on the first page of the exhibit at the bottom, you are listed with the letter W next to your name. Do you see that?
No.
You need to flip back a page to the first page.
Oh, this one?
Yeah. See the blocks down at the bottom?
Yes. Yes.
You're listed with W next to your name.
Yes.
You see that? Okay. And in the upper right-hand corner, it indicates detectives who are assigned to the case. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
It says Lieutenant Belke, Jadowski, and Meisner. Do you see those names?
Yes.
And do you recognize those names?
I don't remember.
All right. And then under 21, below the names, it indicates that there was a complaint received by phone. Number 3 is circled. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. If you go over to the second page on the first entry, September 20th, 1984, quote, subject called stating that they are having problems with Stephen Avery in the neighborhood, end quote, and so forth. Do you see that?
Yes.
Are you the one who made that call?
I believe I did call.
All right.
Well, like I said, it's been a lot of years and I don't recall all this stuff, but as I read some of this stuff, it did come back.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you specific things about what's in here, all right? It says that there's a sentence. It's the 1, 2, third sentence in that first paragraph. Quote, he has been known to masturbate on the hood of the car as she is driving past, end quote. Do you see that?
Yes.
Did you tell that to the police?
I didn't put it in that many words. He didn't masturbate on the hood of my car, but he did come out in front of my car and he was gesturing, doing his thing.
Are you doing that, Kay? Are you gesturing?
Oh yeah, you know I'm over here gesturing, him doing his thing. You know it. You want me to turn my camera on?
No,
Sorry, that was bad.
it was bad.
Get your shit together.
I'm sorry. I'm just being real. This is while you're driving 40 miles an hour by his house?
He did run out toward the road. He was prepared. He had it all ready. God damn it. What the fuck? Jesus Christ.
Okay, it then says, quote, he has had sexual relations with his wife out on the lawn, end quote.
That I have nothing.
Let me just finish the question. While all the neighbors are home in the daytime and able to watch, end quote.
That I didn't say at all.
Okay, do you have any explanation for why whoever is writing this might say that you said that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe my husband, maybe my ex-husband.
Well, this doesn't say anything about your husband. It says this is about you calling.
Mr. Bascom, objection and argumentative. Mr. Mayor, yeah, and foundation.
I'll join. It says subject.
Oh, I lost.
Line 3.
The witness has already identified herself as the speaker here.
Well, I don't know if I did. Called all this. I didn't call this in.
Well, didn't you just say earlier in your testimony that you had made this phone call?
I made a phone call, but I didn't put all this in there.
Okay. Then there's a statement, quote, he has field glasses on the house and he knows just when she will be driving past the residence, end quote.
Well, I made that statement. Maybe he might have field glasses so he knows exactly when I'm coming.
I was going to say, did you ever see him with field glasses?
I don't recall. He might have had them.
How do you know that?
He goes right in front of my headlights. He comes right out to the edge of the road.
So it was your suspicion that he had field glasses. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. It says the female in question that he is exposing himself to is Mrs. William Morris. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you have the belief that your husband supplied some of the information that's in this paragraph?
Mr. Mayor, foundation. How could she possibly know?
Well, maybe he told her. Do you have the belief that your husband,
He didn't tell me. He didn't tell me nothing.
do you have the belief that your husband supplied some of the information that's in this paragraph?
Mr. Mayor, same objection.
I don't have to tell you what my beliefs are.
What? Okay. Okay, then the writer of this entry says that he feels that if perhaps your husband was spoken to, he could confirm this report. Do you see that? Quote, but I feel that perhaps if Bill Morris were spoken to, he could confirm this report. End quote. Do you see that?
Yes.
Wouldn't that indicate to you, as the reader of this document, that your husband is not the person who supplied information?
Mr. Bascom, object to the form and foundation. Mr. Mayor, join.
Ms. Doyle, I'll join.
You may answer.
Mr. Mayor, if you know.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay, then it goes on to say that your husband has hidden in the car at one time.
No.
Let me finish. In an attempt to catch him, I think referring to Stephen Avery. Did your husband hide in the car one time in an effort to catch Stephen Avery?
I don't recall.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay. And then
He might have.
then the initials appear, LJB. Do you see that?
Nodding.
And on that same date, the next line indicates, quote, follow up by detective division required, end quote. And next to that is L.J. Bilkey with initials. Do you see that?
Yes.
Did you speak to Lieutenant Bilkey about this matter?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't recall. I don't know the detectives' names. I don't remember.
Okay.
Or whatever they are, detectives or policemen. I don't know.
All right. If you go to the next paragraph, which is dated September 23rd, do you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the lower right-hand corner on that page, it indicates that there's a detective who supplied the information that's in that paragraph. Do you see that down on the lower right-hand corner, Detective L. Jadowski with initials?
This? You mean way down here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember talking to Detective Jadowski on the 23rd of September about what's in this paragraph?
I don't recall. That's so many years ago. I don't know the dates.
Do you have any belief about whether or not information which is in this second full paragraph on the second page of Exhibit 130 was supplied by your husband rather than by you?
I don't think so.
Mr. Mayor, object to the form and foundation.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. Right near the bottom of the page, it says in that paragraph in this sentence, quote, a statement form was left with Mrs. Morris that if this incident occurs, that we would like a statement from her regarding the past incidents, end quote. Do you see that statement there?
Yes.
Did you, in fact, ever give them a statement about the past incidents?
I believe I would. I don't know. I don't recall.
Okay, that's fine if you don't recall.
Then it says, quote, complaint is still under investigation, awaiting assignment from Captain Belts for an office.
I think this was mislabeled.
I think I think it was too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's not your fault. It's a stupid court reporter. Then it says, quote, complaint is still under investigation awaiting assignment from Captain Belts for an officer to ride with Mrs. Morris at the time she goes past the Avery residence, end quote. Do you see that?
Nodding.
You have to answer out loud.
Yes.
Okay, go to the next page. Would you agree with me that this page reports that there are 2 times, December 3rd and December 4th, when a detective rode with you in an effort to catch Stephen Avery?
I remember one. I don't remember the next.
Okay.
There might have been.
All right.
I know I can remember. I mean, I tried to put this out of my mind, but I can remember once. Could have been twice.
Okay. As you sit here today in view of having read this document, Exhibit 130, do you have any belief of any kind about what you think motivated Stephen Avery to do what you were accusing him in this document of having done?
No.
Mr. Mayor, lack of foundation.
Okay.
Let's pause right here. Let's pause right here for a minute. Line 23, because I want to say hello to Susan.
Hi,
Hello, Susan.
Hey, everybody.
How was your day? Tiring?
Oh, yeah. Tiring.
Cool.
But I'm good.
Did you win the pool tournament?
Eddie got third.
Oh.
No, he got second. Sorry.
Cool.
Yeah.
How many were in the tournament, too?
Oh,
Eddie, sorry.
11.
Eddie. 11.
Nice.
I'm tired.
Yeah, and a combined birthday party as well. So,
for
even
Eddie?
better.
Nope, for a friend.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, good. Well, thanks for joining us. I know you're probably pretty beat, had a long weekend and so forth, but Sandra Morris, she's quite the character on the stand here. I don't have to tell you my beliefs.
I know. I was like, what the fuck?
How I feel?
I really can't blame her for not remembering a whole lot. I mean, it's 20 years, okay, to remember details like that. It's understandable.
Some details I tend to agree, but going to court, giving the statements to the police, I think I'd remember that. But I don't know. Not everybody's memories.
Yeah. Having a detective ride in the car with you hiding and another follow you and you wouldn't know who those detectives were.
Or your husband riding with you, trying to catch.
Yeah, I can't buy that really.
Well, she said it happened once and maybe twice. I don't know that, remembering their names. I can understand that.
Well, the names, yeah, I can understand it after that many years. Sure, 20 years, you're not going to remember a cop's name you met a few times. No, probably not.
It's weird that she doesn't remember the separate sentencing for her case.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
That's something I would remember.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I would too.
Although, what difference does it make, really, in the overall scheme of things, whether she remembers that or not?
I mean, I agree with you, Susan, that yes, it was 20 years ago. So a lot of things, especially the things that weren't like the major events, I'm sure, I'm sure they did, pass from her memory.
Sure.
But at the same time, like Jack said, or whoever it was that commented, I don't have to tell you my beliefs. Well,
yeah.
I mean, that was just a weird response. I felt like so.
I guess she can just say I guess she can just say I refuse to answer. I mean, I guess that's a. She's allowed to do that. She's allowed to do that. It's a deposition, so it's not going to look good. But
she's allowed to say I refuse to answer.
Sure.
But she's not allowed to just not answer in a deposition unless she is told by her attorney
to plead the fifth,
not to answer. She has to answer.
Yeah, plead
In
the
a
fifth. That's
deposition.
right.
I'm really curious why this happened. You know, I'm really curious about what was it between those two that there was so much animosity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll get to something in here that
Yeah,
I've
maybe
totally
she'll say
forgotten about.
something.
Maybe she'll say, and we'll get a
She's
better
already
understanding.
claimed she has no idea. I was listening
Yep.
on my way home.
Yep. She has claimed that several times, actually.
I seriously doubt she has no idea. She knows what her role in this was.
I think so too, Kay.
And she
Yeah.
definitely had one, you know, whether
She had a part. Yep.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
she's
that's
Well,
not
not something, you know, that Stephen's
Pollyanna.
just going to start doing for the fun of it, you know, at 5:30 in the morning in the winter.
Right.
I mean, come on. Something happened between those two.
Yeah. Hey, Catnip. I wanted to, yeah, true, Sheila Hawkins. Sheila Hawkins, I need you to get in touch with me somehow. You're not on either Discord, and I need to chat with you. And then under your scars, or rumor has it, under your scars asked, is Alice okay? Alice let us know, or let me know, that she's okay. She's got some real life stuff she's dealing with, and she needs to, handle her business, and that as soon as she can get back with us, she will. But she's okay.
Yep. That's right.
Anyway, sorry. And hello, Catnip. I think I said that.
Hey, Kat. Thanks for coming. And Sheila. Oh, I've seen somebody else. I didn't see a name earlier. Okay.
Veronica. I think Veronica has come in.
Yep, I think Veronica's come in. That's right.
Yep. Doc is here now. Doc is in the chat.
Yep, there's
Crockett.
Doc.
Yeah, Crockett.
Yeah, there's Crockett.
Myra Pennington. TJ Anderson, Lurker, is here. Jim Peach. Peaches are my favorite fruit.
Oh yeah, I talked to Jim on Facebook. Talked to Jim and Lisa on Facebook quite a bit.
Cool. Okay. Yep. We're glad to have all of you join us.
Hold on just a second here.
Page are you guys on?
47.
I don't know.
Bottom of 47.
Yeah. Okay, line 23.
Okay, I'm just trying to give a message to Sheila really quick.
Okay.
Okay, I just need Sheila to get in touch with me, and she's not on either of our Discords, to my knowledge.
You get all over through Facebook.
Oh, I don't do Facebook, but okay. Yeah, I just gave her my email address. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. What line are we on? 23.
23.
Okay, did you and your husband, at a time prior to July of 1984, give your van to Stephen Avery to do work on it?
I have no idea.
Do you have any recollection of a dispute between you and your husband on the one hand and Stephen Avery on the other hand about, let me finish, about work that was to be done by Stephen Avery on your van?
No.
Are you denying it, or are you just saying you don't remember?
I don't remember, and I don't recall. I have nothing to do with work on a van, no.
Did you and your husband own a van at the time in 1984?
I don't remember. I never drove a van.
Okay. Did your husband?
He might have. I don't know.
All right.
But he usually worked on his own vehicles. We didn't have a lot of money.
Okay. At the time that you made the statements that you made to the detectives that are included in Exhibit 130, Had you had any conversation with Ramona Marcel about the fact that Stephen Avery had broken into the Marcel's trailer in Marionette County?
No.
Did you know that at the time that you gave the statement, did you know that at the time that you gave the statement to these detectives?
No.
You had no knowledge of a dispute between the
No.
Marcels and Stephen Avery?
I don't recall.
Well, those are two different things. Do you either not recall, or are you saying you recall and that never happened?
I'm not saying it never happened, but I don't recall.
You just don't recall one way or the other?
I would say no.
You would say it did not happen?
No, I don't know. Who's on first?
For real. But I can see what Kelly's doing too. He's just
Absolutely.
He's just like, he's not letting her get away with anything.
No.
Okay, do you know a Wilkett?
Yes.
Who is he to you?
Scott Williquette?
Is he a friend of yours?
He's a friend of my husband.
Okay.
No. I mean, my boyfriend I have now.
Okay. How long has he been a friend?
Do you think we got the same Scott?
Why don't you tell me about the one you're thinking of?
This one that I'm thinking of has nothing to do with my case or nothing. He don't know. He's just a friend of my boyfriend.
Okay. How long have you known him?
Maybe a year.
Oh, okay. No, we're not talking about the same person. I'm asking you about a Scott Williquette who was a friend of yours in 1985 at the time that Steve Avery was accused of having sexually assaulted Mrs. Berenson.
I don't recall him.
Do you remember any discussions with anybody at the time that Steve Avery was accused of having assaulted Mrs. Berenson about Steve Avery's alibi defense?
No, I don't.
You know that you knew.
I had nothing to do with that case. They shut me out.
Who's they?
Everybody, I mean, the officers and stuff. All I did was arrested, and they brought me in and they set me outside the courtroom in case they needed me.
In Stephen Avery's case?
Yeah.
Okay. What did they tell you they might need you for?
To tell my story?
About what happened in your case?
My case.
Okay. And you don't have any recollection of any conversation between you and Scott Williquette about Steve Avery's alibi defense?
I don't know Scott Williquette.
Okay. If you go back to Exhibit 130, the third page.
Coughing. Excuse me, I have a cold.
Sure.
1, 2, 3.
The last entry is dated January 3rd, 1985.
Mm-hmm.
You see that?
Yes.
And that refers to when you were run off the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, after that day, at any time, did you go to the district attorney and ask him to withdraw the charges against Stephen Avery?
No.
You deny that you ever did that?
No.
No, you never did it?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I did. No, I didn't.
After that date, January 3rd, 1985, did you at any time talk to Stephen Avery's parents about the fact that you did not want to pursue the charges?
No.
You deny ever having that conversation?
Yeah. I think. I don't remember. I don't I don't recall. I don't think I did.
Well,
I wanted him in jail because, like I say, if you had a shotgun to your head, you wouldn't want the guy, or you wouldn't want the guy around either. Neither. Jesus.
I really love Kay so much. Then I want to make sure of the same thing with respect to the district attorney. Nope, that's not right. I want to make sure that you're denying having spoken to Mr. and Mrs. Avery. Let me finish about wanting to withdraw the charges against Stephen.
I did not talk to them about withdrawing them.
Then I want to make sure of the same thing with respect to the district attorney. Did you go to see the district attorney after January 3rd of 1985 to ask that the charges against Stephen be withdrawn?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Let's mark this as 131. Miss Morris, I'm going to show you what's been marked. Yeah.
I just said that's interesting.
It really is.
I wonder where Kelly got that idea.
Yeah. Maybe we're fixing to find out.
Maybe from Stephen's parents.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably.
I don't know.
It's Stephen. Yeah.
Possibly. Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see what happens in Exhibit 131. Miss Morris, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 131, which is dated January 3rd, and ask you to take a moment and examine that. And then I'm going to ask you some questions about it.
Mr. Bascom, why don't we go off the record while she reads that?
Off the record for 2 minutes. We're back on the record.
Have you had the opportunity to examine Exhibit 131?
Yes.
Do you recognize it?
Yes.
Whose writing is it?
According to this, it's this officer's writing.
Okay, and what is it to your understanding?
It is my report of what happened to me that morning.
Okay, and you recognize it to be that. That's the statement that you gave to police about what happened to you that morning.
I believe so.
Okay.
It sounds like it.
Is Bill Morris still working in the sheriff's department to your knowledge?
No.
Where is he and what is he doing?
He's remarried and he lives in Texas.
All right. How long has he been gone from Wisconsin?
I have no idea. Addressing Miss Walker, her daughter, in the audience. 3 years? Is that close?
Reporter, could you repeat that, please?
Again, addressing Miss Walker. 3 more?
Crystal Wacker. Can I answer?
Sure.
Crystal, it was 7 years.
See, they know better than I do. It's their dad.
Okay. Are you working presently?
Yes.
What's your job?
Fisher Hamilton, I work at.
What do you do there?
I'm a special assembler.
Let's mark that as 132. I want to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 132, Ms. Morris, and ask if you received a subpoena to appear here today.
Yes.
And if that subpoena requested that you produce certain records if you have them. You see that?
No.
No, you don't see it, or no, you don't have the records, or both?
I didn't see it, that I had to bring any records.
Okay. Do you see it now as you're looking at this, at the exhibit?
Quote, you're commanded to produce and permit, end quote. Yeah.
So it asked you whether you've got any records or photographs or documents about Stephen Avery or Gregory Allen or
I have none.
You have none. Okay.
No.
Did Ramona Marcel ever talk with you about Judy Dvorak coming to her house on the night that Stephen Avery was arrested?
No.
Did your husband ever talk to you about Stephen Avery being, oh, I can't see.
A scroller.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Did your husband ever talk to you about Stephen Avery being arrested for the assault of Mrs. Berenson?
No, I don't think he was working there then.
He left the sheriff's department by the time.
I don't know. I don't remember. I'm not sure.
She's got them all in one answer. Good for her. Well, remember that your incident occurred in January of 1985.
Live.
And Mrs. Berenson was assaulted on July 29th of 1985 while your case was pending.
Oh, he was probably still there then.
Okay. And what I'm asking you is whether, after he found out from you what happened to you and after he went to work, did he ever come back and tell you anything about Stephen Avery and the Berenson case?
No, I don't think they leave him even get involved in it. Is that a Wisconsin thing?
Must be.
Just say leave instead of let all the time?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
Okay. I hadn't heard that. I heard the word. I hear the word "yet" a lot. Even when I've been to Wisconsin, I've heard them say "yet," but I hadn't heard that before. Okay. And
I don't think he had the right. I don't think so.
Okay, but
well, I think he knew as much as I did.
But your testimony is you don't remember him coming back and talking to you about that.
He didn't.
You're saying you remember and he did not talk to you about that.
He did not talk to me.
Okay. How did you know to go to court?
I was subpoenaed.
When Stephen Avery's case was being heard.
I was subpoenaed.
By whom?
I don't recall.
Did anybody talk to you about what you might be expected to testify to?
When I got there, yes.
Who spoke with you?
I don't recall.
Was it Dennis Vogel?
I think so.
Okay, prior to having been subpoenaed to come to the Avery trial, had anybody from the district attorney's office, including Dennis Vogel, spoken to you about the fact that you might be called to testify at the Stephen Avery trial?
No.
That's all I have.
Mr. Mayor, I have a few questions for you, ma'am.
Order off the record for a moment. Looks like for not even a minute. Back on the record.
Ma'am, before you come down here this afternoon for your deposition, we had the opportunity to speak out in the lobby. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you expressed at that time some fear about coming down here to have your deposition taken. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Why were you fearful about coming down here and have your deposition taken?
I just don't want to be around Mr. Avery. It brings back memories.
Okay. Am I correct then that you, in my question, I guess I made that assumption that you were fearful about coming down here. Is that true?
Yes.
You are fearful?
Yes.
Okay. And would you have preferred not to come down here to provide this testimony if you had a choice?
Yes.
I have nothing else. Mr. Bascom, I don't have anything.
Miss Kaiser, excuse me, I just have a few. You talked about being in a bar.
Amanda, hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Reporter, moving microphone. Thank you.
With Marilee Stick, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is she your cousin?
Yes. Yes.
And you answered some questions about some statements you made about the things that Stephen Avery was reported as doing to you?
Nodding.
Yes?
Yes.
And am I correct, your testimony is Mr. Avery was present when you were talking with Marilee Stick?
I believe so. Well, at one time, I think he was with her, and I know I saw him, and at this time, that's when he was flashing. I think it was right at the beginning, and I looked at him and I said, because he's my cousin, you know, and I looked at him and I says, "Why are you doing this?" And he looked right at me and he says, "Oh, you look. You like it?"
That was going to be my next question. Did he respond to your statements?
Nodding.
Yes?
Yes.
Now I'm going to skip ahead. This has nothing to do with that line of questioning. Were you aware then, I take it, at the time of the trial of Miss Beerenson's matter, you were aware of the general nature of her case?
Yeah.
And am I understanding it correctly that you were subpoenaed to be available at her trial
Yes.
in case you were needed?
Yeah.
Were you aware generally of the accusations against Mr. Avery in that case?
Well, just what I read. Yes.
And at that time, did you believe that was something he was capable of doing?
Yes.
Can you tell us why?
Well, I mean, he ran me off the road and put a shotgun to my head, and I believe he could do that to someone else, you know? So it's like, I didn't want him around. Let him go to prison. I mean, if he did that to her, he didn't belong here.
I don't have anything further, Miss Doyle. I have no questions.
Mr. Kelly, let's follow up a little bit on that, ma'am. Now, we know he didn't do that to her, right?
Yes.
Okay, you still wanted him to go to prison, didn't you?
Not only to serve my time.
Right. You wanted
I'm
him to go to
sorry.
prison.
No, only to serve my time. I'm sorry.
Right. You wanted him to go to prison to serve your time.
Well, whatever. Whatever they were going to give him. If someone put a gun to your head, what would you want?
You told me upstairs that you wanted to know whether or not Stephen Avery had gone.
Because I...
Let me finish. Had gone to prison to serve time. And you thought he should have because of what he did to you.
Yes.
That's all.
Mr. Bascom, we're done. Mr. Mayor, we're done.
Well. And we're done with that one. Wow, that was... She liked to talk. I know. She liked to talk. And overtalk.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I mean, she didn't really even like for him to get the full question out. She was ready to answer. Bam.
Yeah.
Well, Dvorak will be a topper.
Oh,
Well,
God.
hers is long. Hers is long too. It's been a long time since I read either one of these personally. I don't know about anybody else. I know Susan's read several depositions, but I don't know if she's read these in a long time.
No,
God,
I haven't. It's been a
probably
while.
it's probably been. I mean, I know I've read sections of these, both of them. But as far as just sitting down and reading straight through, it's probably been 2020, 2021 since I've done that. I'm
Have
gonna
we
guess.
not read these before on here, Jack?
Not all of them, no. Not all of them. And certainly we did read some, but they were not in order. And that was my intent when I restarted this project, was to do them in order, which we have done. It's taken months, obviously, because of other information we wanted to get out ahead, but because it was new. But as far as all of them in order, no, we've never done that. And some of them we never read at all.
It's nice to have that context of doing it in order, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't read it. I haven't read these since I first got them, whenever that was. So and I didn't get them through foul play. I had, yeah, don't need to go there, but yeah.
Well,
It's been a
yeah.
long
Well, I
time since
mean,
I've read
it
them.
was Banana Man and Julie that when they did the crowdsourcing. So
Right.
um,
Yeah. And that was where I got my copy, was from Banana Man.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's where I got my copy as
Well,
well.
I think I was just going to say, I think most of us did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't
sure.
read any of it since then, and I didn't even read all of them then. So it's definitely a good refresher for me.
Absolutely.
I'm
Okay.
kind of, since they were cousins, right? Yeah,
Right.
I wonder if they went to like the same school when they were growing up. Stuff like that, it might, their animosity might stem from when they were kids.
Maybe she
Possible.
was just embarrassed of him, how kids
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
Maybe.
and made fun of him and bullied him. That's possible.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah,
her
she kind of seemed like
attitude.
she seemed to look kind of like the bullying type a little bit.
I
When
don't
you
know what their
listen,
age difference is. Did she
10
say her
years.
age in the beginning?
10 years. She's
Okay,
50. She was born in 51, and
okay,
Avery was
she's
born
10
in
years older.
Yeah, I think Avery
Huh.
was born in 62, so actually 11 years, I guess, if you get right down to
So
it.
they wouldn't have been just in school together.
No, they've been separated by quite a bit, yeah.
so it wouldn't be that.
She would have been closer in age to Chuck. I think he was born in 54.
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
right. Yep, I think that's right. Yep. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that we ever truly found out what the rub was, but my personal belief was that it was Gregory Allen that was doing this stuff, but I can't prove that. I mean, he fits his MO to a T. But you got to
Did he
think about it
ever
again.
did he ever live out in that area? Do you know,
That's
Gregory Allen?
not that I don't know. I don't think so. But if it's him, what he would do, so much better than
The police and the ride-alongs or whatever didn't ever catch him doing anything,
no,
right? I
no,
didn't think so.
no. And again, thinking about fall time up in this region, and it's snowing, and you're out naked. I don't care even if you got a T-shirt on. I'm just telling you,
It just
that's
sounds
crazy.
really far-fetched, doesn't it?
Well, it's pretty
I
far
don't
out
know.
there.
I
It's
thought
pretty far.
it seemed more likely that he gave her the middle finger when she was going by. Wouldn't be surprised at that.
Would he be out there
Yeah.
early in the morning? I don't know.
I don't know about that either.
Yeah, hiding behind the bush, half naked, with
Right?
his field spectacles or whatever the fuck.
Well, binoculars, basically. That's what she's just making that speculation, but somehow these other things made it into the report, and she doesn't recall. I mean, these are pretty. They're not just mild accusations. These are pretty strong. Saying that him and Lori are out in the front yard doing it.
But
and it
right,
made it into.
binoculars work so well when it's dark, right? It's not like
Sure,
they were
that's right.
night vision shit or anything.
Not back.
Also his very next door neighbor said she didn't see anything. Right? Did we read her last week? Week before?
Ramona Marcel. I don't.
Yeah.
I believe she said she didn't see anything.
She never saw Stephen do anything. Of course, she was probably sleeping at 5:20 in the morning.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, this next deposition is long, and I knew when I pulled it up we weren't going to be able to finish it, because, like I said, it's 133 pages. So we're looking at a minimum of 120 with the index. That's just straight reading. That's 2 hours. So what I'd like to do, if it's okay with everyone, is we'll get started. and then we'll just stop at a point, and then next time we'll continue and get it finished. But at least we have that much of it knocked out. Is that okay with everybody?
Sounds good.
Sure.
Sounds
Okay.
good for me.
Okay. Well, that brings up the next point. We can switch up readers. Sorry, I had that on the wrong screen. We can switch up readers. You guys getting tired? You guys read almost an hour. So if you guys want to switch up and sit back a little bit and have some drinks or whatever, then that's fine. I'm good with
Doesn't
that.
matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me.
Well, if you're good to read, or Susan, if you want to read, I know you work, so you may be tired.
I will read if anybody wants to step out. Otherwise,
Okay.
it's fine.
Okay. Well,
I'll just say this: I don't read on my own channel. I ask all of you guys to do it, so I'll read
you're fine
unless
doing it.
somebody else wants to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, if you're okay, you're fine with continuing on, and Jay and Cherie, we'll just kind of keep. I think that's going to be basically the same thing. We'll maybe a little bit different, but.
Hey, Susan, go ahead and take my part.
Okay, if you want me to, Kay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're going to be Dvorak.
Okay.
And Rhonda's going to be Glenn and Kelly. Then we got Covelli and Bascom. That's going to be JD. And then Paul and Meyer. I can do, so you don't have so many, Jay. I can do Paul and Meyer.
Okay.
Okay. And
And
Avery's
Cherie's
present.
doing whose? Oh, sorry.
Sure. Well, there's no lady lawyers in this one for some
Well,
reason.
Kelly and Glenn aren't women. I'm just saying.
That's all right. We're just
Okay,
trying
I'm
to keep
just-
all the parts the same.
It's fine. I'm just teasing.
Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exhibits, which we've probably got most of those. I don't know if we have this cover sheet to the report of follow-up. I don't think I've got that one, but most of the other ones we have. But anyway, so let's knock out about 30. Try to get about 30 pages or whatever we can get to. I don't want to keep everybody here all night, and then we'll just make a break and stop. So whenever you ladies are ready, go for it.
All right. I'm just going to say you have a volunteer from the chat to help read sometimes. So there you go. Thank you, Scooby, the dog.
Absolutely, Scoob. Yep. You're certainly welcome to come and read. Absolutely.
We would love your puppy breath on the panel.
On the mic. That's right.
On the mic. Yep. That's right. Okay. Miss Yonda, we've introduced ourselves a little bit earlier this morning, but on the record, I'll tell you that I am Walter Kelly and I represent Stephen Avery. Would you tell me your address, please?
6131 Old County Y, Maribel, Wisconsin 54227.
How long have you lived at that address, ma'am?
June 30th, 1970.
Would you tell me your date of birth and your age, please?
11047, age 58.
Are you presently married?
Yes, sir.
To whom are you married?
Michael A. Yonda.
And for how long have you been married to Michael Yonda?
Since August 6th of 2004.
Have you previously been married?
Yes, sir.
To whom?
David J. Dvorak.
And from when to when were you married to David J. Dvorak?
June 28th, 1970 to September 28th, 1989.
Did you and David Dvorak reside at the address on Old County Y that you told us earlier?
Yes, sir.
Throughout your marriage?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any children from that marriage?
Yes, we do.
Could you tell me their names and ages, please?
Douglas J. Dvorak, born in 1971, and Victoria Ann Dvorak, born in 1974.
Could you tell me your educational background, please?
Graduated from Casco High School, honor student, 1965. Went to the University of Wisconsin Extension in Green Bay for 1 year. Transferred to River Falls State University and graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Animal Science and Nutrition. And I have a police degree from NWTC, Green Bay, and a security science degree from Fox Valley Technical.
You made reference to an you made reference to an institution. Did you say NWTC?
Northwest Technical Institute, Green Bay. It's a tech college in Green Bay.
And you said that you have a police degree from that institution.
The police officer training degree, yes.
Does that degree have a particular formal name? Is it a certification?
It's a certified police officer degree.
And would you describe generally what the training is that leads to that certification?
I believe it was 500 hours in criminal investigation, crime scene investigation, defensive driving, paramedic course, interview and interrogation, several different aspects of police work.
When did you obtain that degree, roughly?
I want to say 1982.
All right. And then you made reference to a security sciences degree. Is that correct?
That is correct.
From Fox Valley Technical Institute?
That's correct.
And when did you obtain that degree?
March 7th, 1986.
And
She's
what
got a
was
good
the
memory.
She's got her dates really good for sure compared to
Yeah.
anybody else. And what was the required program of training or education to obtain that degree?
Again, this degree was in nuclear science. We had the crime scene investigation, fire investigation, interviewing and interrogation of witnesses, the whole broad aspect of police science, again, defined again with the university going toward the nuclear science industry, bombs and explosives, investigating different types of scenes, crime scenes.
So the difference between the police science certification and the security science certification was mainly having to do with nuclear and explosives training?
Correct. Looking for signs of terrorism in the workplace, looking for different types of devices that could be put in the workplace to destroy the nuclear facility, different things like that. Patrol procedures, writing report procedures. It's much more complicated than the police sciences.
Okay. For a period of time, you were employed as a deputy sheriff in the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Can you fix that period of time for us?
Again, I believe it was 1981 or 82 to 89.
And during that same period of time, was your husband, David Dvorak, similarly employed?
Yes, sir.
Can you fix the period of time of his employment?
He started working as a part-time deputy several years before I did.
And, okay. And he has continued throughout with the Sheriff's Department as far as you know.
Yes, sir.
You're aware of the incident where Mrs. Penny Berenson was assaulted on a beach in Manitowoc County in July of 1985. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
At the time, you were working as a part-time deputy sheriff in the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department?
Yes, sir.
And your husband was as well?
Yes, sir.
How was it that you were contacted to become involved in the events that occurred after Mrs. Berenson was assaulted in late July of 1985?
This was a suspected rape case, and I was a female deputy, and they wanted a female present.
Who's the they to whom you refer?
The sheriff's department.
Who contacted you from the sheriff's department?
I do not remember.
Was it by phone?
It was by phone.
Do you remember whether it was Leroy Belkey?
You mean the dispatcher?
You skipped a line 13.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you recall whether it was the dispatcher?
I don't recall.
Do you remember whether it was Leroy Belkey?
I do not recall.
I'm going to show you an exhibit that's been marked as Exhibit 133. Ask you to take a moment and examine that.
Yes, this was the summons that the gal delivered to me at work when I came home from work last week.
And before you were served with that subpoena, you had telephone conversation with me about testifying today. Is that right?
That is correct.
That document calls for the production of certain documents. Do you see that?
Yes, I did.
And when you were served with it, did you see that request?
Yes, I did.
Have you brought any documents today?
No, I did not.
Do you have any such documents?
No, I do not.
Did you at any time have such documents?
Yes, I did.
What did you have when you had the documents?
I had my original notebook.
Anything else? Any copies of reports, for example?
Possibly copies of the statement that Mrs. Burnson had given me.
What statement was that? You mean that she gave you in the hospital?
Yes, sir.
Anything else that you recall that you had?
No, sir.
Did you have any press clippings?
No, sir.
What became of those documents?
We had a house fire, and then in '99, anything that I had left was in the basement. And I had a builder that exposed everything. And we had a lot of rain that spring, and everything was under a foot of water, and it was totally a mess, and I threw it out.
That was in 1999?
Yes, sir.
When was the fire?
It was a furnace blow up. It wasn't actually a fire, but the furnace caught on fire, and it threw soot throughout the house and destroyed a lot of different things.
When was that?
It was in the late 80s.
After you spoke with me on the phone about coming in to testify, did you have any conversations with any person about the fact that you had been contacted by me?
Only my husband. He was the only one. He had talked to the gal who had delivered the summons.
Did you make any effort after having spoken with me to avoid service of process by the woman who was serving the subpoena?
No, sir. My husband was a little irritated.
What was your husband irritated about?
Because she came into the yard and asked when I would be home. He told her at 5 o'clock, and it takes half an hour for me to get home from work. And she kept coming after him several times and asking him when I would be home.
Did you have any interaction yourself with the process server when you were served?
No. As soon as I read the paper, I told her that the name was wrong.
Do you remember telling her anything other than that?
No, sir.
Do you recall telling her that you didn't have to come?
I said because the name was wrong on there, I didn't really have to show up. But I corrected it for her, and I said, just correct it.
Do you know whether or not before you and she had that interaction, she had previously attempted to serve the process on you at your home?
No, I've never seen her before.
Okay. Since the service of the process, have you had any conversations with any person other than your husband about this case?
Yesterday with Amy Doyle.
Where did you meet with Miss Doyle?
At the sheriff's department.
For how long did you meet with her?
3 hours.
Did you review documents with her?
Yes, sir.
Had you previously given a statement to Miss Doyle or any other lawyer involved in this case before yesterday?
Yes, we had met once before.
When was that?
I'd have to check my notebook.
You have a notebook that records when you met with Miss Doyle?
Just a simple ledger, date book. And I would have to go through a lot of pages to...
Take your time.
Okay. Right here, Thursday, the 30th of June at 9 o'clock in the morning.
And where did that take place?
At the sheriff's department.
And for how long did you meet on that occasion?
From 9 o'clock until 11:30.
Did you review documents on that occasion?
No, sir.
Did Miss Doyle or someone at her behest prepare a statement for you based on the conversation that you had on June 30th? Any kind of investigatory report or statement?
I do not know.
You don't know?
I do not know.
Was she taking notes at the time?
Yes, sir.
When you met yesterday at the sheriff's department for 3 hours with Amy Doyle, did she provide for you a copy of notes or the statement that she had prepared based on your earlier meeting?
Mr. Pollen, I'm going to object to form. It seems that there is such a statement from the earlier meeting, and there's no evidence to support that.
No.
Is your answer no?
No, there were no notes from her.
Were there any documents that she produced yesterday?
Yes, there were.
Tell me what they were, please.
The original transcript from the court proceedings, my statements that I had taken from Penny Burnson.
Anything else?
A statement from Ramona Marcel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that statement says. Anything else?
And the incident report from the sheriff's department.
Incident report of what?
The case.
Of the assault on Mrs. Berenson?
Yes, sir.
Completed by whom? Whose report was that?
I do not know. It was a sheriff's department incident report.
About how large was it?
Several pages.
Yesterday, when you did the review with Ms. Doyle, did you review a copy of a statement that you gave to agents of the State of Wisconsin Department of Justice?
Yes, I did.
So I have here as what you reviewed yesterday, the original transcript from court, Penny Berenson's statement that she gave to agents from the Department of Justice. Is that right?
No.
No?
The statements that Penny Burnson had given to me at the time of the assault when she was in the hospital.
How many of those were there?
2.
Did you see the statement that Ms. Berenson gave to agents of the Department of Justice yesterday?
No, I did not.
All right. The document that you referred to involving Ramona Marcel was a 2-page document involving,
I cannot be certain of that. I do know it was 1 full page.
Your signature was on it?
Yes, sir.
And her signature was on it?
Yes, sir.
And then you referred to an incident report of the sheriff's of the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, sir. 1 second.
All right. All right. And you don't know who prepared that?
No, I do
Okay.
not.
Do you have those documents with you today?
I do not have any documents with me.
The documents that you reviewed with Ms. Doyle yesterday, had you seen them at any time between June 30th of 2005 and yesterday?
Sorry, 1 second.
Okay.
You're fine.
No, sir.
Was there any videotape that you reviewed yesterday?
No, sir.
Did Ms. Doyle say anything to you about the testimony that was given by Ms. Marcel in this case?
Mr. Paul, I'm going to object and instruct the witness not to answer. I think that the communications with counsel are protected, and attorney-client privilege.
Did you hire Ms. Doyle to represent you in this case?
No, sir.
Mr. Pollan, just for the record, you're taking the position that the attorney-client privilege exists for what reason?
Ms. Yonda is being produced to be allowed for you to question her about her work and her activities as an employee of the Manitowoc County. Our firm is representing Manitowoc County, and we met with Ms. Yonda in order to prepare her for her testimony and assure her that her testimony was most accurate and complete. The content of those communications are protected under the attorney-client privilege.
Because you're saying because she was at one time the employee of Manitowoc County, that's why the privilege obtains?
Sure.
Even though she is not now an employee.
I'm not arguing the point with you.
I'm just trying to understand.
Well, and if I can, I'll say it again. She's being produced regarding her activities while she was an employee of the Manitowoc County, and we are representing Manitowoc County, and we had our meetings with her in that context. I believe an attorney-client privilege exists. I don't think it does, but what do I know?
I don't either, but yeah, I don't know either. That's just my...
Cherie, what's your thoughts on that? Cherie might have stepped away.
Okay. Okay, line 16.
Yep.
Since the time that you first had contact with me on the telephone, Ms. Yonda, other than the meetings that you've had with Amy Doyle that you've told us about and the conversation with your husband, have you spoken with any other person about this matter?
No, just my shift commander today, telling him that I could not work the rest of the day because I had to give a deposition.
Okay. How did you first find out that in September of 2003 that Stephen Avery had been exonerated by DNA?
I heard it on the radio.
Prior to hearing it on the radio, had you received any information from any other person that Stephen Avery had been exonerated by DNA?
No, sir.
After you heard it on the radio, to whom did you first speak about what you had heard on the radio?
I do not remember.
Did you speak to your husband about what you had?
I was not married at that time.
I'm sorry?
I was not married at that time.
Where? After you heard on the radio that Stephen Avery had been exonerated, did you call anybody on the phone to talk with any person about what you had heard?
No.
Did anybody call you?
No, sir. I was just shitting my pants.
Yes, indeed.
Sorry.
Other than any contact you had with Amy Doyle or any of the representatives of the defendant's lawyers after you heard that Stephen Avery had been exonerated, in September of 2003, did you have any conversations with any member of the Sheriff's Department about that?
No, sir.
Any conversations with any members of the District Attorney's Office about that?
No, sir.
Did you make contact at all with any of the neighbors on Old County Y or in that area about what you had heard on the radio concerning the exoneration of Stephen Avery?
No, sir.
After you first heard that Stephen Avery had been exonerated.
Nope, line 9.
Oh, sorry. I blinked. Have you talked with Ramona Marcel at all about Stephen Avery and his case since you first heard that Stephen Avery had been exonerated?
No, sir.
After you first heard that Stephen Avery had been exonerated, did you have any conversations with your former husband, David Dvorak, about that case?
No, sir.
Is anybody believing any of her no sirs?
No.
No, sir. Have you had any conversations with David Dvorak about his testimony in this case?
No, sir.
Since September of 2003, have you had any conversations with Bill Morris?
No, sir.
With Tom Kosorik?
No, sir.
With Jean Couché?
No, sir.
What with Al Kalinzik?
No, sir.
With Bill Beck?
About this case? No. I saw Bill in the sheriff's department the first time I met with Amy Doyle, and that was the only time I'd seen him, but it was just hello.
No talk about the case?
I need to pause for a minute. Sorry.
Okay.
That's all right. I'll take over. You just go ahead and do what you got to do.
Okay.
Line 13. No, sir.
Did you see him when you first went in to see Amy Doyle?
He may have been at the sheriff's department. I cannot be sure.
How were you contacted to go to the meeting with Amy Doyle in June?
A letter was sent to me.
By?
The firm.
Mr. Pollin's firm, Amy Doyle?
Yes, the law firm.
And after you got the letter, did you in turn contact Ms. Doyle?
Yes, I did.
Tell me about the conversation you had with Ms. Doyle when you contacted her.
I just called that I had read the letter and was replying to her at her request, and I said I would be there for the meeting.
After you first heard that Stephen Avery had been exonerated in September of 2003, have you had any contacts with either Penny Berenson or Tom Berenson?
No, sir.
Did anybody from the press contact you in an effort to speak with you about your involvement in the case after it became known that Stephen Avery had been exonerated?
No, sir.
Do you remember being interviewed by agents from the Department of Justice in connection with the Stephen Avery case?
Yes, sir.
Were you interviewed by one or two people?
One female.
Do you remember who that was?
I believe it was Deb Strauss.
I bet you're right. Where did that interview take place?
In my home.
How was that meeting set up?
I believe she had made a phone call to my residence and left it on the answering machine. And again, I returned her call.
When you returned her call, what did she tell you?
Just that she wanted to meet with me and go over the case.
And did you say, okay, that's fine?
Yes.
Okay. After she called you and you made those arrangements and before you were interviewed by her, did you have any conversation with any person in the world about the Stephen Avery case?
No, sir.
Oh man, I don't know. I pretty much don't believe anything she's saying. That's just... After you were interviewed by Deb Strauss, did you have any conversation with any person in the world about the interview that you had with?
I may have mentioned it to my son and daughter.
Do you have
I'm
any
back, Deb.
recollection of what's?
Okay.
You're
You can
back.
take over. You can take over at line 22 as she asked the question.
Okay.
Do you have any recollection of anything they said to you when you mentioned it to them?
No.
Do you know whether or not they spoke with your former husband about what you and they spoke about?
We did not speak about anything, just that I had had a meeting with Ms. Strauss.
The content of the meeting was not something you talked to your son and daughter about.
No, sir.
Have you had any conversations with your son and daughter about the fact that your former husband testified in this case?
No, sir.
Between when you first heard that Stephen Avery had been exonerated on the radio and today, other than the people that you've told us about whom you've spoken, is there any other person you can remember that you spoke to about the Stephen Avery case?
No, sir.
Reporter, excuse me, can we just go off the record briefly?
Sure.
Off the record for less than a minute, back on the record.
Ms. Yonda, I'm going to show you an exhibit that's been marked in this case, and I'm going to ask you to take your time and read it. We're going to go off the record so that you can do it. It's the statement that Ms. Berenson gave to agents of the Department of Justice, okay?
Okay.
Off the record for, looks like about 9 minutes, back on the record.
Ms. Yonda, when we were off the record, your counsel and I agreed that you need to read only through page 5502 to the end of the third full paragraph on that page. Numbers are in the lower right-hand corner.
Yes, sir.
Have you had the opportunity up to that point to review Exhibit 134?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to ask you some questions about some of what Ms. Berenson says in this report. If you turn to page 5500, first of all, were you in the emergency room Were you in the emergency room with Ms. Berenson?
Yes, I was.
And was the sheriff in the emergency room with you when Ms. Berenson was being treated?
According to this report, yes. I do not remember.
Do you know that in your own report, you told agents of the Department of Justice that there was some other detective in the emergency room with you?
After reading the report yesterday, yes. But I do not actually remember who it was.
But you are clear that someone other than yourself from the sheriff's department was in the emergency room with you when Ms. Berenson was being treated.
Mr. Pollen, object to the form of the question, use of the words, quote, "You're clear," end quote, especially given her testimony. But go ahead, ma'am.
You may answer.
Would you rephrase that, please?
Nice coaching, Pollen. Sure. Your testimony is that there was somebody from the sheriff's department other than yourself who was in the emergency room with you and Mrs. Berenson. You just don't know who it was.
Mr. Cavalli, objection, form of the question.
Is that right?
That's correct. I do not remember who it was.
Now that you've read Mrs. Berenson's statement, do you believe it was Sheriff Kasurik?
Mr. Cavalli, objection, no foundation.
You can answer.
Again, I do not remember exactly who it was, but it may have been the sheriff.
All right. At page 5500, the second full paragraph states, quote, Berenson stated Deputy Dvorak asked most of the questions and the sheriff kept coming in and out of the room, end quote. Do you see that statement?
Yes, sir.
Did you Did you ask most of the questions?
Yes, sir.
All right. The next sentence says, quote, Berenson said the entire time she was answering the investigator's question, she was being treated by the physician, end quote. Was that your observation?
Yes, sir.
Then that paragraph goes on, quote, Berenson did not think Deputy Dvorak ever left the room. However, the sheriff left the room during certain parts of the examination by the physician, end quote. Let me take the first part of it. Did you ever leave the room?
No, sir.
Mr. Cavalli, objection to the form of the question. Mr. Mayor, yeah, join. Also foundation.
Did the other person from the sheriff's department, whoever it was who was in the room with you and Mrs. Berenson, leave the room from time to time?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what occasioned that person to leave the room from time to time?
Yes, sir. When the pubic combings were taken and the samples, that person was asked to leave the room.
Let me at this point back up just a little bit and ask you, when you got to the hospital, was any other person from the sheriff's department present at the hospital?
Yes, sir.
One person or more than one person?
I do not remember.
Do you remember present from the department?
No, sir.
Do you remember whether Bill Beck was present when you got there?
I did not remember that Bill was present, but he said he was present.
When did he say he was present?
When I had met with Amy Doyle.
So before you met with Miss Doyle, when you ran into Bill Beck, he told you he was present at the hospital that night?
After we had our meeting and Bill came in to ask if we needed coffee or anything, that's when he said he was there.
Excuse me.
How convenient.
Really strange. How would he be in the middle of this conversation? That's so
Why would
strange.
he be offering coffee? Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He was the girl Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell me everything he said about that in conversation with you on that occasion.
That was basically it.
How did it come up?
I had not seen Bill in several years, and all of a sudden it was just like a recollection. I said, or either of us asked, "Were you there?"
Strange. And he said what?
He said, "I was there."
And did he say whether or not he was in the emergency room with you?
No, he did not.
Did he say who else was there?
No, he did not.
Do you remember whether or not, when you were at the hospital that night and you were in the emergency room, if Al Kalanzik was present in the emergency room?
I do not remember.
Do you remember whether or not that night, when you were in the emergency room with Mrs. Berenson, Jean Couchet was present in the emergency room?
Not while I was in there. I don't believe so.
Well, as I understand it, you were in there the entire time that
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Berenson was in there. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Ooh. Sharp, Mr. Kelly.
Yep.
So your recollection is that Mr. Couchet was never in the emergency room
Mr. Pollen, object to form.
that night.
Mr. Bascom, same objection.
You can answer.
I do not remember if he was. I don't believe so.
All right. Do you remember whether or not Sheriff Kucerik was in the emergency room during the period of time that you were in the emergency room with Mrs. Berenson?
Mr. Cavalli, objection asked and answered.
You can answer.
Again, I do not remember if the sheriff was there, but from reading the statement, he must have been there.
Okay,
Is there any?
let's hold right here. We're
Yeah.
30.
You're gonna stop
Yeah,
now?
we're yeah.
No, you're
Well,
not. Jack,
yes,
I
I
hate
am.
you.
I
I
know.
hate you.
I know.
I
I
hate
know.
your guts.
I know.
This I don't believe at all. Of course she's going to remember if the sheriff was there.
And Couche, he came in and did the tracing. I mean, I'm sorry, my bad. The sketch. Got it wrong.
Now, I thought he did that in her room when she was moved.
You could be right. I could be misremembering. I'm just being
Yeah.
facetious
That's
anyway.
that's what I remember as well, Susan.
Yeah, you're probably right. So, yeah, let's pause right here. Line 4 will
So
be
when
the
you say
questioning.
pause, do you mean just to talk for a few minutes?
No, done for the night.
Oh,
It's quarter to 9. So, and
oh my
good.
gosh.
I know by the time I know by the time we say our goodbyes and so forth and so on, we're going to be pushing 9
Okay.
o'clock, and that'll be 3 hours.
Normally, I know, and normally I'm ready to go by now. I've got, I food I need to eat, but oh my God.
I know.
You.
I know. I
Jack,
get it.
am I right? Is Jack so rude right now? He's so rude.
I'm gonna get kneecapped.
Right?
I just-
Mr. Silkman says what? I know.
Oh, it's okay. True Detective's coming on in about 20 minutes. So.
Hey, I've been watching that. I need to catch up last week's show, and I haven't watched it yet. I
Oh,
really
it was
like.
good.
I really
What's
like
that
Jodie
on?
Foster. Max.
Max,
Yeah, I don't have that channel. Yeah.
It's such a
check it
great
out.
show. Jodie Foster is such a great actress.
Yes, she
There's
is.
so much I need to watch and
It's-
catch up on.
It's
Did you
gonna
watch
take-
American?
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I was going to say it's going to take a lot to outdo season 1.
Oh boy.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's
I mean,
for
I've
sure.
already missed an entire season. Oh Jesus.
This is season 4.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, it's
I have
so
some
good.
recuperating to do this week, so maybe I'll try to catch it.
Well, have you watched American Nightmare yet?
I
Not
did.
yet. My daughter watched it though, completely independent of anything I said. I hadn't said a word to her, and she sent me a text message the other day. American Nightmare. She said, "Mom, American Nightmare." Oh my gosh. OMG. And I was like, I know. Have you watched it? I said, not yet. I'm already in trouble with foul play. But I know the story. I've seen another documentary, so. So
I
yeah.
gotta put
Anyway,
this. I gotta put this up. That's right, Allie. I gotta watch my show. Oh yeah, that's right, Allie. I gotta make sure I watch my shows, my soaps.
Yeah.
Actually,
Your
you know,
shows.
I'm gonna say, I mean, I do watch a lot of series, but I'm really a movie guy. If you get right down to it, I really like to watch movies. I'm not talking about necessarily documentaries or anything. I like action movies, and I like good sci-fi. But I do enjoy a good series too. And that American Nightmare it's crazy. So
Maybe I'll watch
anyway,
that tonight. We'll see.
Crockett
Says Jodie Foster is the love of his life. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Pity
she does. She does
at the other end of the
dances at the
ballroom.
other ballroom. Yep. Yeah, but Silence of the Lambs. She was just superb. Anthony Hopkins, and so many great actors in that, and it's so well done.
Yeah. Yeah, that, and I agree. The Accused, one of the most difficult movies I've ever watched in my life because it's incredibly
that's the
difficult.
pool room. That's
yes,
that was
based
that
on a
was
true
tough.
story. Yeah,
It was tough.
it's so hard to watch, but oh my gosh, I mean, I don't know if she got an Academy Award for that or not, but she sure should have. She sure should have. Anyway, oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, I'm just gonna ramble off a couple of things here. I talked about it a little bit yesterday during the reading with the crew, and I kind of parlayed. I didn't really get too much into it. about these exhibits that I'm going to just submit probably this week so we can get our hands on some things that we don't have. A lot of them are photos. There's some other various things, photos of the bookcase that I don't think with others. Like I said, I just kind of threw this out at Foul Play people about this exhibit report of things that we do not have. And I'd like to get them, just to see what we can see. We may not get anything from it, but you never know. There's a couple of audios that are listed in the exhibits. A computer animation that I don't know if this is mislabeled, but it says it's an FBI SUV computer animation, but the only one that I know that did the animation was the State Trooper Reconstruction Unit, so I don't know what the hell that's about. There's a number of photos, a couple of reports, and I'm probably going to add a couple more things to it. So hopefully, and this should be pretty quick because this is, it's not really an open records request. It's directly to the clerk. It's to the Manitowoc clerk. So you request it, I tell you how much it is, and you pay your money, and you get it. So hopefully everything. So we'll see. So anyway, I'm going to go around the room as always, give her final thoughts, and try not to gag too much. And Rhonda, final thoughts.
Why would I be gagging? I don't know why I'm gagging. Why would I be gagging?
Sandra Morris.
Anyway. Oh, yeah. Well, this is just cruel. I think it's kind of rude and mean, but it's okay. I'm still coming back next week. So yeah, great. Yeah, that was the Sandra Morris, and what we've read so far from Dvorak. Very interesting, of course. There's a lot of memory problems, it seems like, in this entire case, except for with Dvorak. I mean, initially she was really good with remembering dates and things like that. But then her memory seemed to sort of fade a bit, right? She started all of a sudden she can remember all these dates and years and everything, and now she's really struggling to remember.
That reminds me of what's his name? Roar. He couldn't remember hardly anything, but then when they asked him what Penny liked, this and this and this, and
Yeah.
Exactly. Great.
Just rattled off a list. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
So what you got coming?
Really enjoyed it, and look forward to reading the rest of it next week.
Oh yeah, it's going to get better. I assure you that. I do remember that about Dvorak's deposition. It's going to get better.
I know. That's why I hate you right now. No, it's good though. It's good. It's really good now that I'm thinking about it and letting it process a little bit, because we'll get to start fresh next week to get into what's to come. So,
well, like I said, I'm probably going to do something in the middle of the week or in the week, because next Sunday's Super Bowl. I'm not going to do enough of my Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So one day this week we'll come. I'll get everybody and say, hey, can we jump on and do this and get it knocked out, and hopefully everybody can join and we'll get it done.
Perfect. So this week, Thursday, we have, and Kay and perhaps Susan and Cherie and Jack possibly might be able to tell you, if they've been reading ahead, that we're going to have some interesting lie-filled, inconsistency-filled trial testimony in the Terry Morris case on Daniel Holtzclaw's case from one of the detectives, Rocky Gregory. He is a complete idiot. He doesn't know how to speak. He can't complete a full comprehensive sentence, and he's just a liar. So while he's trying to lie, he can't speak well at the same time, and it just really makes it irritating and possibly entertaining. So anyway, it's going to be a long deposition, or a long trial testimony reading, but we will finish it in one night because I definitely don't want to split up his testimony. So yeah, exactly. Stuart King, are you subscribed to the channel? I hope so. Rocky and Bullwinkle, what a pair! Rocky and Blinkwinkle, and it's going to be really very interesting. So I won't have much time tomorrow or Tuesday to really do much preparation, but hopefully Wednesday and Thursday day, I'll be able to do more of what I'm hoping to do to put in Discord to go along with the trial testimony. So hopefully,
you're having more. You're having more work done, aren't you?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I actually have a couple different things going. 2 different procedures, Monday and one Tuesday. So anyway,
Gotcha.
So I'm going to try to get as much done because I have other things like supplemental that aren't going to be shown in the actual presentation Thursday night because it's just going to be, as long as that testimony is, I don't really want to add much
more
to it. Yeah, because I know there's going to be some pausing in conversation. There's going to have to be. And so I want to get some things ready to put in the Discord as well in Terry Morris's room, if I can. If it doesn't show up, it doesn't show up, but I will do my best. But
you can always do it. You can always do it after the fact. So
yeah, oh yeah, I've got plenty of time to do it later if I have to. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to it, and I look forward to having all of my great readers, Jack and Cherie and Kay and Susan, to read this testimony for you. It's going to be really good. So hopefully you can all join us over there on Thursday night at 5 p.m. Central on Just Rhonda's channel. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Rhonda, and thank you for the wonderful reading. And I'll definitely, I don't know any reason why, I will be doing the restream. So, okay. Thank you so much, Rhonda. And Jay, it's late for you. Thanks for hanging and doing your part. You said you're willing to read. So, final thoughts?
Yeah, it's just an interesting little read there. I honestly wish that Stephen had pulled the trigger because it would have been worthwhile a read. But like I said, she was totally confused and jumped ahead. But that's probably her in her way of life. But
yeah,
it is what it is. So
yeah.
But
all righty, Jay. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to Judy Dvorak's one.
Yeah, I'll try to give you a heads up so you can kind of know when things are shaking down. If you want to come back and read,
just let me know the day, and then I'll log on, and then I'll be fine.
Sounds good. All right, Jay, thank you so much. And then Susan, final thoughts.
I was just thinking that last part of that little bit we read, her not remembering if Dvorak was there or not. I just think, it was an unusual thing for the sheriff to be involved the way that he was. And it just seems to me like that's something you wouldn't forget.
I agree, even a part-timer.
Yeah, especially a part-timer. I'm sure she didn't spend much time with the sheriff,
Right.
That's in his presence. So, for some reason, I think she's being deceptive about that. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, she seemed to be pretty sharp. She seemed to be pretty sharp on her dates.
Yeah,
like real. I mean, going back a couple of decades. So yeah,
right.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always been highly critical of Dvorak, and I think the power he wields over people, I think he probably still does. I think he's a scary man myself.
Certainly, probably when he had the gold, the main gold badge.
In the job, And
Yep.
and you know, I can see it carrying over
Oh,
even
sure. Oh,
afterward if you still live in the same community.
yep.
And
Far as I know, he
you have
never
stuff
moved.
you have stuff that um, you know, stuff he did while you were there at the time, you know.
That's right.
So, yeah, I feel that in her deposition. Anyway, that's just me, my opinion.
Yeah. Feels guarded.
She remembers all those dates from how many years prior? I'm sorry, I'm
Good
not.
Lord.
Couple decades. Over a couple decades.
And there were some dates, like there were some that it wasn't just June of 1978. It was
Exact
June
dates, like
28.
days she
Yeah.
graduated from certain things,
Yes.
and yeah.
Yeah,
Good
bought
Lord.
that house on June 30th, 1970. Lived there the entire
Right?
time. I mean,
Yeah, that's
you
a
know,
hell of a memory.
it really is.
But who was in the hospital room with you? Oh, I can't recall.
I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't know.
So was Jean Cachet there? You know, sorry, I
Well,
just
Yeah.
think she was holding back.
She got tripped
It
up in
seems
her
to me-
lie.
It feels like to me everybody in these depositions, when it comes down to Kasura, asking questions about Kasura,
Well, they're guarded. They're very guarded and
are guarded.
Yeah, and their replies.
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
disagree at all.
Yep.
That's what I've noticed
Anyway,
too.
that's all I got, Jack. I'm ready for dinner.
I hear you. Yeah, I'm pretty hungry myself. So thank you so much, Susan, and get some dinner
You
and some
bet.
rest. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
Night, everybody.
And then Cherie, final thoughts.
Thank you for going through these depositions. It's very interesting. And as for next week, Rhonda's on Thursday. Amy may not be able to have her live tomorrow night. It's still up in the air because she's had some extra work burdens put on her. So I have to wait and see, hopefully. But thank you.
You betcha. Thanks for coming. As always. And Kay, final thoughts.
Yeah, it's always interesting to read the depositions to me. I mean, even though they are so far removed, and, there are things people legitimately don't remember, and things that people are able to say they don't remember because it's been so long, and, you can't really dog them too much for it, even though they're lying. It's convenient.
Well,
but yeah, it's interesting to me. I think it's kind of bizarre how disconnected Sandra Morris was from her husband. Like, she doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of believe that she wasn't paying attention to anything he was doing. I mean, I guess, and if he wasn't holding a job or whatever, they were always having problems. But not to know if he ever drove a van or not, things like that. It's like, what? You don't know the car that would be parked in your driveway every night? Or, I don't know. Who doesn't remember every car they've ever driven?
If I owned it for any period of time, I certainly remember it going back to the time I was in school. I mean, all of them.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there are people that get a new car every year, but that's not my world. So.
Well, not mine either. I mean, especially early in life,
And I doubt it was Sandra Morris's husband's world either. So, anyway, yeah, it was fun. It was good. I'll quit blabbing on, and so Susan can go eat.
Me too.
Thanks,
Me too.
Jack. Yeah, and Jack. Yeah.
Yep.
Good night, everyone, and thanks to everyone in the chat too.
Yeah. Well, I certainly want to thank you and Rhonda, everyone that helps come along and does the interactive reading. I think it makes for a better presentation for everyone. It gives, I think it adds so much more depth. So I do want to thank everyone that's come in the live chat that are interested in these depositions. Again, I think they're a gold mine. I think they again show a lot of things that are going on that you're not going to really hear about it unless you read them. You're just not. They're just not nowhere else to be found. And the thoughts about Stephen and the Averys and the whole 9 yards. I think, I've said it 2 or 3 times. I do think Sandra, she seemed to be guarded in some degree, some ways that she didn't want to talk about. I think Susan's probably right. She didn't remember specific names, but there are other instances that things that in events I think I think I would remember them, and I'm not going to say I have a great memory, but maybe she didn't. I don't know. It just seemed that way. I don't know. I don't want to dog her too much. And then Dvorak, we're going to get into the I don't recalls and I don't knows. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I told Doc in the chat there. So anyway, thanks again, everyone. Thanks to everybody in the live chat. If you like what we're doing, hey, give us a like. Give us a thumbs up on the thumbs up button down there. Subscribe, share the work. For anybody you think might be interested in depositions. And with that said, I'm going to say this has been a Foul Play production.